Good evening. You're watching Over and Over and Over Again. We're live, and this is Let's Talk Arteta. Hello, good evening. My name's Richard. Welcome back to my channel Over and Over and Over Again, the Positive Arsenal channel. This show is called Let's Talk Arteta, and the panel and I, we're going to be looking at Mikel Arteta's sort of 18 months or so that he's been in charge and ask whether or not we believe he's perhaps the right man to take us forward, whether he needs more time or whether perhaps he's run his course at the club. And before I bring in a guest, it's a reminder we're currently live on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter, and the show's also going to be available on Spotify and other podcast platforms later on as well. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Wherever you're watching or listening, please give the show a like, share the content, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. It's completely free. It does help the content to reach a much larger audience. So if you are watching this live and you want to get involved in the show, in the debate, please drop your comments in the box as well. We go through them as we go along. Got any questions at all that you want to ask anyone on the panel as well, and we can do that. And without further ado, I will get the panel on to the show. And first of all, actually, somebody who I've been looking to get on the show for a while. Actually, he's more noted for being on Same Old Arsenal and Guns and Yellow Ribbons. He's having to maybe downgrade a little bit tonight. I can only apologise for that. Welcome to the show for the first time. It's Dan Potts. How you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm good, cheers, Rich. Not downgrading at all, man. I'll always come on to any podcast as long as it's all talking about normal stuff. I will say, though, man, it's a positive podcast. I'm not sure you got me on for the right reasons there tonight, man, if it's a positive podcast, but we'll soon get into it, man. But no, thanks for having me on, mate. It's a pleasure to join you and the boys. And yeah, listen, it's nice to see the pictures you got out there. Me and Melvin looking very, very smart, and you and Ben looking like you've just come out of the pub. Do you know what I mean? That's very nice, mate.
Well, that's what it's all about, isn't it? You know, you got to have a contrast, haven't you? Do you know what I mean?
That's it, mate.
Which is what it's all about. Also, as well, coming back on the show again, he's maybe going to have perhaps a slightly differing view to Potsy, I think. Welcome back to Ben. Are you all right, mate?
All right, Rich. How you doing? Potsy?
Yeah,
mate.
Yeah, Ben.
Good to see you.
Yeah, you too, man.
Yeah, looking forward to this.
Yeah, no, it should be good. I mean, you know, there's no agendas on this channel. It's just really just want to have a discussion about everything and see if we can decide what. I mean, you know, me and Melvin, who's coming on as well. So we're literally with Melvin as well. So he's back again. Melvin, of course, he loves this show. He's always on. It's good to have you back, Melvin. How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, fine, thanks. Good evening, everybody. New team, I see. A new formation we got tonight. A new centre forward.
Yeah, well, we're not scoring enough goals, so I thought we'd get the heavy artillery in tonight to solve that problem. So yeah, that's going to be good. So this is your panel for tonight's show, and this is going to be Let's Talk Arteta. Right then, so I think this is an issue that's maybe starting to divide the fan base a little bit. I know there's a lot of it at Arsenal. You know, obviously Mikel Arteta, is he the right man for the job? Has he taken us as far as he can, or does he deserve to have more time? Should we give him more time and obviously more backing as well? The first thing I really wanted to look at is, I mean, I think, you know, Potsy's maybe of the first kind of opinion that maybe he's run his course. I know Ben thinks he needs more time. I think me and Melvin are a little bit on the fence, actually. I'm not quite sure yet. I can't decide whether or not he's the right man or he isn't, actually. I'm not totally convinced, if I'm honest, but you know, I like the guy and I don't want to see him just, you know, dumped on the side of the road too quickly. I mean, one of the things for me, though, that I've noticed, certainly this season and possibly even going back into the end of last season, is our forward players do not seem to be performing In fact, some of their performances, some of them have gone backwards since Arteta's come in, and I don't really know why that is. Other than, is it a tactical thing, or just is it he hasn't managed to get the best out of them? I mean, I'm thinking, Aubameyang's goals have dried up quite a lot compared to how many he was scoring before. Martinelli's hardly getting a look in. I don't think Lacazette's been playing as well this season. It's only really Saka, who's a generational player, isn't he, anyway? And I think he would do well in any team. I just for maybe kind of Potsy first then. I mean, why do you think that, or have you noticed that the forward players, their performances seem to have dropped over the last year or so in particular? And why do you think that might be?
Yeah, listen, the stats don't lie. We've been fluffing our chances all season, to be honest with you. We are creating chances, I would say. Not so many. I'd like to see a lot more creative. I don't think personally these players are up front are as to blame as much, though, as people start to say. We've got players that have been scoring goals. Okay, they've not really been in the situation that I'd like to see them in. I think that I'd like to see more from Aubameyang and Lacazette, but actually I don't look at them both and say what an absolutely horrendous season they both had. I think that the amount of chances that have been missed throughout the team, it's not just our strikers. I think some of our creative players have been very, very poor. And all I hear from the fan base is, but our defence is better. Yeah, it is. It is much better. And I think that is probably why we are not looking so much at going forward, because a lot of people are happier with we don't lose 4-3, we lose 1-0 now. I'd much rather lose 4-3 and see 3 goals personally, but there we go. A lot of people disagree and think that it's all about our defence that has improved. If we are really looking at progress in that way, I worry about the football club personally, because that's not progress to me. We just lose easier now. That to me is shambolic. If you're Sheffield United, then yeah, that's fine. Not getting smashed 5-0, you're now only losing 1-0. Then maybe you can get a couple of 0-0s and stay in the Premier League. We're trying to go forward. I don't see the progress there, Rich. Personally, I don't see a style of play. It was 3 or 4 games, I think, in a row. Maybe was it against Chelsea, West Brom, back towards the kind of festive period, where I started to see some passing in triangles, some high intensity, and some playing out from the back. And I wish that would have continued, because it looked all right. This manager can't get these players up for it. He can't get the strikers firing. And every single time you listen to in a press conference is just embarrassing, really. Yeah, we played better. We deserve to win. It's sounding like Mourinho all the time now, isn't it? It's just like, we deserve to win, but we didn't. Oh, Jesus. It's getting a bit too much for me now. And I don't hate Arteta. A lot of people think I've got an agenda against him. I don't. I've seen enough personally and to know that he's not the right man for the job. However, I don't hate the guy. I really wanted him to do well here. I think because he played for the club and he understands what it's like to wear that shirt, everybody wanted to get that feel from him. And when he won the FA Cup, I think that papered over a lot of cracks, because there were some problems big times back then in the league. And the consistency of this team is naff. And I'm not seeing enough from this manager going forward at all to excite me. I think, we were saying off air, I think apart from Sheffield United and Spurs, we're the worst team to watch in the Premier League. It's absolutely embarrassing watching us. I'm not excited by us. I don't go into any game thinking we're going to win, Rich. And I can't remember the last time I've done that. And that is down to the way we're playing under this manager. I really believe that.
No, and I mean, it's difficult to argue with any of those points. Actually, I think you make a fair kind of case there. I mean, I know Ben obviously doesn't feel the same, so I'm interested really to hear what Ben's kind of take is, not only on what Dan just said there, but in general about the way that we're playing and the lack of goals from the team in general, but how some of the forward players seem to have gone backwards in their performances, I think, over the last year or so. What are your kind of thoughts on that then, Ben?
I'll judge it probably on the first part of the season. I thought, yeah, I'll get where you're coming from. Back in October, November time, early December, I could see where you're coming from. I was going into games like Burnley at home thinking where we're going to score, because we concentrated so much defensively, and we did look a lot better. But what he hadn't done at that point, he hadn't balanced the defence, balancing defence, and then obviously making sure you attack as well at the same time. But I've seen since the Chelsea game, the balance is a lot better than it was. I mean, we are going into games now, and we almost should be killing teams off by half time. And you say back in October, we was never doing that, never in a million years. So we have improved. The balance has improved a little bit. The personnel is still the same. He can only work with what he's got, and he's very, very restricted. And I just think. Like I say, I was going into games thinking, I can't see a score, and we might keep a clean sheet, maybe because we're defensively better, but we won't create enough chances. But now I do see us going into games, and I do think there is a chance we're going to win. All right, the football at times isn't great, but I do think it is better. I think the balance is better, and we are creating chances. I mean, Arteta's not at fault for Aubameyang missing chances. Look at Saka's chances he missed against Burnley. He's not at fault for that. I mean, we are creating the chances now, so that there is hope there. So I mean, it's not as bad as it was. That's for sure. Back in October, November, and early December, the league position is the same. But if you take in the Wolves game, I thought that knocked the stuffing out of us when Luiz got sent off, because we battered them first half, and then what happened at Wolves, and then ended up taken into the Villa game. That's 2 games there. We probably could have had 6 points more. Instead, we ended up with nothing. So I mean, and obviously with Burnley at the weekend there, that's another 3 points that we should have got. So I mean, if you think we're say 7 or 9 out of those 3 games, that league position is a lot better than 10. So we're not a million miles away. But like I say, the league position doesn't lie, and like Saturday's a prime example. We only beat ourselves. So I mean, I do sense that we have improved, despite the league position being pretty much the same or slightly better.
I mean, on that point, though, you're saying that we could well have beaten Wolves. We maybe should have done. We could then have beaten Aston Villa. We should have beaten Burnley. But the fact is, we didn't. We got 1 point from those 3 games, despite in 2 of them certainly playing well enough in certain aspects of the game to have won, but we still didn't win. Now, yes, you could say that's not Arteta's fault. He doesn't make Aubameyang miss chances. He didn't make Saka miss that chance. He didn't make David Luiz make that foul that gave the red card at Wolves or anything like that. But ultimately, we've underachieved in all 3 of those games in particular, plus many other games early on in the season as well. So it is a little bit. I don't think you can completely dissolve Arteta of all blame for the fact we didn't win those 3 games. At the end of the day, yes, the Wolves game may well have affected us, but surely that's a manager's job to get them up for the next game and make sure that we don't lose that one as well. And he wasn't able to do that for whatever reason. I mean, I know, Melvin, you're a bit kind of like me, maybe not 100% decided either way. I mean, has anything either Dan or Ben said there has maybe swayed you either way yet, or are you still on the fence a little bit?
Still on the fence. I want to stay on the fence as long as I possibly can. But when Ben says about we improved since October, how low were we in October? We wouldn't have improved in October. We'd be going down. It's not as if we started from a great position in October. If we were like 6th and beating teams, and then we improved since October, oh, great, we're all right. But we weren't. We were actually relegation. We looked like a relegated side, didn't we, in all fairness? Now, then you're asking why our attack has been underperforming. 3 words: midfield. Our midfield is very, very negative. It's very static and it's very slow. I mean, teams really have worked out, not very difficult. All we've got to do to defend against us is mark the wide men or stop the ball come up as the flanks. It isn't always easy, but it's easier when you don't have to worry about defending in the middle part of the pitch. So that's why I think our forward, they've missed chances. I think they're too shot when they get a chance now, so don't get as many as perhaps they should do. A team with our forwards and a decent midfield should get a lot more chances, and we snatched it because I think it's a little bit up in the brain. Bloody hell, I've got to take this one because we're not going to get another one, perhaps another half an hour. So I think that's the reason. Listen, I'll say something about Arteta later on, but that's where I am there. I mean, it's what I find. I was trying to do a list of the Arteta in, out, shake it all about. And one of the lists was getting greater than the other lists. And I just thought to myself, hold, I've got to rein back because otherwise I'm coming in one-sided. I've had to cut a few things back tonight, but we'll take that up later.
No, I mean, I find myself sometimes on a different day. One day I'll think, you know what, actually Arteta maybe does need more time, and the next day I'll think to myself, actually no, he's not done enough for me to deserve that in terms of the results and the way that we've been playing. But one of the things that I've noticed, and I don't know what you guys think, it seems to me as though he's very inflexible tactically and in the structure of the team. determined to play a certain way. Now, whether that's because he spent 4.5 years under Pep and that's the way Pep plays and that's his idea of playing football, which is fine. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But what he must have realised by now is we don't have players that are good enough to consistently play that way. As we saw on Saturday, playing it out from the back with certain players that we've got, it's going to eventually lead to mistakes. Now, one of the reasons that I think is why we tend to make concentration mistakes during games is because Arteta's drilling into them in training to play a way that's not natural for them to play, a lot of the players. So they're having to concentrate really, really hard in the whole of the game to be able to carry that out. And occasionally when you do that, your concentration is going to lapse for 20 seconds and you've made a silly mistake and the other team have scored. And I think that maybe if he was a little bit more flexible with the system in terms of the players that we've got and adapting accordingly, maybe we would see less of those crazy mistakes that have unfortunately cost us a lot of points this season and even back in the last season as well. I mean, what do you think about that, Dan? Do you think that could be maybe an issue certainly with the concentration side of things when they go wrong?
I'll give you an analogy. I worked with somebody not too long ago that lost their job because they weren't performing. And the main reason they weren't performing was because they were micromanaging their teams everywhere they went. They micromanaged in the first team, then they got moved because they had fallings out within the team. They then moved and they micromanaged again. That's what I'm seeing with Mikel Arteta is micromanagement, over coaching. We've gone from no coaching with Arsene Wenger to over coaching with Mikel Arteta. He's standing on the way, he's talking to him about where to pass, what foot to use, where to go. This is like, let's let the guys play. And also he's trying to overcoach with different people. Why is it that we're messing around with this team? I never know what 11's going to start because he clearly doesn't know his best 11. I see pairings of Pablo Mari and David Luiz. Next game, Holding and Gabriel back in. Next game, it's Luiz and Gabriel. Then we're wondering why people can't gel and people can't make mistakes. So we're asking Bellerin to be a inverted fullback. Then we're asking Cedric to go on the outside and wonder why no one can work with Pepe. Then we're looking at mismanagement of Pepe, who gets sent off 1 week and gets called a disgrace. Xhaka gets sent off. He's just a little bit overpassionate. That's all it was. Well, hang on. You've just threw your mate under the bus last week, and now all of a sudden he's just a little bit passionate. I've seen Maitland-Niles come in and do well and just get binned. I've seen Saliba, who, by the way, must be half decent if he's getting player of the month over in France. And I know it's not a great league, but my God, he can't be a terrible centre back in my opinion. He's got to be better than some of the clowns we got. I've seen him ousted out. We've seen Ceballos, absolutely horrendous header back, binned out the team. See you later. But Xhaka, make a mistake all you want. You'll play 90 minutes because you're my favourite. Willian, straight in the team. Pepe, been brilliant for 3 games. Willian comes straight back in. So it's not just the tactics here, Rich. It's the team selections I'm looking at. He's mismanaged Martinelli. He's mismanaging Balogun. These players, like, what is going on with some of these youngsters that are looking in? If you're looking at that midfield at the moment, he's managed to sign Thomas Partey and make our midfield worse. It's unbelievable. And we've got Aziz, who's killing it in the youth. Like, I'd rather see him than El Neni because he's going to give us something different. He's going to give us some vibrant, some young. God, that's what I want to see is young, vibrant players like the Kieran Tierney's and the Sakas and Smith Rose of this world. We've got to bin some of these Wenger players, mate. The mentality is weak. We need to move forward and get away from it. Arteta loves them. So when people sit there and say it's not the manager, it's the players, well, this manager's picking those players for one. And guess what? He's picking the players that you want to get rid of. He loves Holding. He loves Xhaka. He loves Bellerin. He wants Lacazette up top. He loves Willian. He's forcing him in every game. So is it the players or is it the manager? Because if you don't like these players, you can't like this manager because he's picking these players every week. That's my biggest thing about this fan base. I don't understand how you can love the manager and then it's the players. Well, these players are being picked by this manager week in, week out. And what's their reward? I'm going to play next week. Xhaka will play 90 minutes on Thursday. He'll play 90 minutes against Spurs and he'll play 90 minutes on Thursday night. And that's not a granite Xhaka in or out because everyone knows I can't stand the guy. But when you look at it, you look at him and think, should he really be deserving to be playing the next game after what he did at the weekend? No, he shouldn't, because by the looks of things, this manager bins you if you're poor, but he only bins you if it's poor managers. I look at what Unai Emery did before he got sacked, right? He was about 6th or 7th in the league and he needed to go, by the way. And I was one who wanted him out. However, I look at what this manager's doing sitting in 11th and everyone thinks he's doing a good job. Wenger got 5th and got sacked. Emery got 5th and got sacked. Arteta 11th, trust the process. Hey? What? Why didn't we trust the process under Emery then if this was a process? I've been trusted a process for 16 years, Rich. Not this 16 months has been shocking. And we're supposed to sit there and trust another process. What's going on? This board and owners need to wake up and understand that we are the Arsenal, we're not Wigan. We went to the Emirates to compete with Barcelona and Bayern, not Burnley and Bournemouth. Yeah, did they get the B's wrong? Because that's what we're doing at the moment. We can't beat Palace, Wolves, or Everton or Leicester at home. All those 4 losses we had against Wolves and Villa, absolutely shocking. And it's always a what if, Like Ben talks, and I love Ben, by the way. He's a proper gooner and he knows I love him. But when I look at it and think it's a what if with Arsenal, that's what this club is. It's a what if FC. What if we didn't move to the Emirates? What if David Dean didn't leave? What if Eduardo wouldn't have broken his leg? What if we would have got rid of Wenger in 2014 and got Klopp? And now it's what if we would have beaten Wolves and Villa? We'd be up in 6th. I just can't stand this what if FC. I look at what I'm seeing in my own eyes. They don't lie to me. We're 10th in the league. It's shocking.
No, I mean,
sorry, I'm on a rant.
No, you're right. Again, I mean, it's hard to disagree with a lot of what you said. All I would say is, with regards to Xhaka, I mean, the mistake that Xhaka made on Saturday, I mean, it was horrendous. There's no defending that. But I think in Arteta's mind, he'll look at it and say, well, that's how I want the team to play. And yes, he even admitted himself, didn't he, that it's going to lead to mistakes. That was a mistake from something that he wants the team to do. So that's probably why he won't drop Xhaka. That's why he hasn't maybe thrown him under the bus. Whereas with Ceballos was a mistake that was nothing to do with the way we wanted to play. It was just a terrible mistake. And I think there's a difference there maybe. And that's probably why he's treated them differently, perhaps. I mean, going back to the Pepe red card and then the Xhaka red card, I don't understand what the difference there was. He treated them differently and didn't seem to make any sense. But I can maybe understand if Xhaka does play on Thursday, I can maybe understand why, because he's carrying out the manager's orders, isn't he? He just made a mistake. Whereas, I think Ceballos was a different situation. He just, it was just a bad mistake in the game, and unfortunately, Arteta just didn't want to give him another chance. It seems. I mean, but Ben, what are you making of this? Then, do you think that it is? I mean, is it difficult to argue with a lot of the points that Dan was making there? I mean, I'm sure that you've got an alternative view.
I'm not going to have an alternative view because I believe all those 5 players that he said there. I agree they should be binned in the summer. And they're not going to get binned now. They should be binned in the summer because they're not good enough. And they're not going to take us to the next level. But I feel he's maybe playing them because maybe the ones that he's not playing, he does see their future, like Martinelli. And I haven't got a clue why he's playing them. Honestly, I couldn't even give you that answer. But we all know that they're not good enough. They're not going to take us to the next level. He is getting it wrong. There's no question about that. He's getting the team selections wrong. I don't want him playing Xhaka every week, no chance. But I think defensively we can't sit here and discuss the defence too much. I don't think they're making a hell of a lot of mistakes. I mean, the mistakes they are making are standing out like what happened on Saturday. But with regards to the team selections, yeah, Willian's been overplayed. Xhaka's been overplayed, but who else can come in there? I mean, that Dan says about Aziz and that, yeah, that's definitely an option. But I don't know what the agenda is with playing even El Neni. He's not good enough to take us. We've got so much garbage in this squad. It's unbelievable. I mean, he's got so much work to do. So I mean, in regards to the team selections, I just think, I mean, the likes of Bellerin, he needs to go as well. He's just, I don't know why he doesn't just play Suarez in there at right back. He's played a couple of games there at right back and he's played well. So why he keeps sticking Bellerin there in front of him is beyond. I just haven't got a clue. Honestly, of course. I'll back Arteta, but he is making some silly decisions, especially with the team selections, and there's no denying that. I mean, Dan's right with a lot of stuff that he says, and yes, we do feel like we're in the 16th year of transition, and that's just a joke. That's the situation we are at, and we've basically. We're in a position. What do you do? You basically get rid of the manager, which he won't do because we can't even buy players. He's not going to go and get another manager in right now. We ain't going to be able to afford someone like Tuchel or whatever anyway. So he's going to stick with a cheap option for now, and then we just got to hope and pray the summer's just. I mean, I know Dan probably won't be out. He can't wait till the summer, but I just think he needs the summer then a proper pre-season, and he's got to get rid of some of these players that we both just said there. And
what happens though, Ben, if he gets the summer and then he gets, I don't know, like, all the players in that we think are going to improve us, like we were excited about Partey and Gabriel, and everyone told me we were going to be fighting for top 4, and then next minute you say, well, I'll be 10th, and then they say, oh, it's just a process. Well, you told me we're going to be top 4. But when you get these players that we think are going to transform us, let's just say, for example, we get Lamptey and Basuma from Brighton, or I think would be upgrades on Bellerin and Xhaka. We get Konate from Leipzig, who's going to be an upgrade on Holding, and we get Edouard, who's going to replace Lacazette, right? Let's just say that. We probably need another creative midfielder as well, maybe a Buendia or a Husamawa if we can afford them. But they're the sort of players that we should be looking at, in my opinion, in the summer. Let's say he gets them and he's successful in those. How long do we give Arteta after that point, do you think, Ben?
I mean, it's going to obviously take a little while to get the players bedded in, but I'd say if we have a good summer, and obviously we've got the likes of Ozil, Mustafi, Kolasinac, Sokratis. We've been crying out for them players to get off this wage bill, and it happened quicker than we thought. We never thought it was going to happen in January. I know obviously they're still at the club, but they're obviously loaned out and they're not going to come back. So that happened really, really quickly. That was, for me, that was a bit of progress, not on the pitch, but I saw it off it.
100% off the pitch. That's progress.
That was the first time I've actually seen us be ruthless, like behind the scenes, and for me that was progress. So if we can, and the last window, obviously in September, and bringing in Partey and Gabriel, they could have gone elsewhere. We still managed to get those deals over the line, surprisingly. So for me, the last 2 windows have been really, really progressive. But it's what happens in the summer now. And if the likes of Bellerin, Xhaka, Willian, obviously I can't see Willian going, but he could. But those sort of players have to leave the club. They have to. I mean, for us to progress. And surely Arteta can see that. He doesn't want to be playing Man City and getting battered. He's seen it. He doesn't want to play against his former team, and he knows what he does need. Surely the summer is massive, and we've got to go get.
So if he's backed in a summer, Ben, and we get the players, or he gets the players in that he thinks he needs, and he's already got like 9 players, by the way, but he needs more players, so we're getting more players. Do we then wait till Christmas?
I'll judge him at this point. I'll give it at least till Christmas, and then I'll say at this point next year. Probably, maybe actually, I'd say probably February. I'd say, and then see where we go from there. I mean, I can't judge him before that. I can't judge a manager that's not had a full pre-season. I can't judge a manager that's. I mean, the likes of with the crowds and that clearly affects big players. The likes of Aubameyang have clearly been affected by no crowds, and that's half me being lackluster. I think it's not getting the service plus. It must be tough for these players. I mean, I can't judge a manager that's not had a pre-season, 2 with full stadiums week in, week out, and he's picking up where the past regimes have been left up. They've left so much rubbish at the club. I agree with that. That job was far. It was an overwhelming appointment, and it was a tough enough job for Guardiola and Klopp, let alone Arteta, who's coming a manager, a coach. So I mean, for now, I just think at the end of the day, he's not going to go anywhere. We can't afford another manager to come in. We need to sort this squad out. I mean, he needs to be given. For me, he needs to give him the summer and hopefully shift some of the rubbish and get some decent players in. And then I'd say at least give it till at least Christmas, and then see where we are then. I mean, if I don't see improvements by Christmas, I could be joining you firing bullets, Dan. So yeah, I just feel like he should be given a fair crack, and I don't think he's been given it just yet.
The only issue with what you're saying about the summer and bringing in better players is if we're not in Europe, the club have already lost money. The owners have lost money. Are they going to invest significantly enough that we'll need? Yes, we'll sell players as well, probably get rid of some, but our players, we're not going to sell them for much because they're not worth much. So the only way we're going to get better players, we might have to sell 6 or 7 players to get in maybe 1 or 2 better players for the same money. if we're not going to have any money to spend without Europe, and that's going to leave us weak then in terms of numbers, isn't it? If we get injuries and stuff like that. So it's all very well saying he needs a summer and he needs to get the players he wants in. Yeah, I'm sure every manager would love to get all the players they want in, but unfortunately, the finances over the last year, because of the situation, it's not just us obviously that are in that situation, but you saw our accounts the other day. The owners, their own business, have lost millions this year as well. So I can't see them dipping their hand in their pocket to help us out. And I think without Europe, it's going to be a massive problem. Yes, if we win the Europa League or win the Champions League, then maybe things can be different. And then I think we would all agree, perhaps then, we'll come to that a little bit later, but that's got to be now the minimum achievement. Arteta's got to now, the minimum achievement, I suppose, is to get us in the Europa League via the league as a minimum, and then hopefully the Champions League via the Europa League would be something else. I was just quite interested there. There was a comment came in from Lee a little bit earlier there, Dan. He's saying Arteta's definitely the man to take us forward. Trophy his first season. Yeah, that's true. Tactically very astute. I'm not 100% convinced about that personally, but anyway, let's see what happens the remainder of this year. He's saying Europa, why not? Loads of top young players. Yes, there are loads of top young players that we've got, and that is a massive bonus, although most of them are already at the club. They've been at the club for a while, haven't they? He wants us to stick with it. Do you think he's tactically astute then?
Not at all, no. And it is about winning trophies, football. Of course, that's why we laugh at Spurs, so they never win any. But it doesn't mean you're a great manager if you win a trophy. Otherwise, Di Matteo would be better than Arsene Wenger, because one of them won the Champions League and the other one didn't. So you can't sit there and say just because he's won a trophy that he's going to be the one to take us forward. It was absolutely fantastic winning the FA Cup. Of course it was. Absolutely superb. But I don't think that makes him the right guy. I don't think that he's tactically good enough. And I look at Unai Emery and I think, who was the better manager? I think everyone can agree it's Unai Emery, because I look at the situation now and I think that guy got us a point off of fourth and into the Europa League final with a terrible side. Absolutely terrible. I think there's probably 7 players that we've improved on since then, and we're now sitting in 11th under a different manager. You can't sit there and tell me that West Ham, Everton and Leicester have got a better team than Arsenal. The reason they're ahead of us in the table is because they've got a decent coach, and I didn't even rate Moyes and Rodgers that much. So, but they're better than Arteta. So that's the reason I see that we need to get rid of this guy personally moving forward. I never wanted him, Rich. When we were losing Wenger, they said to me, who do you want? I said, Diego Simeone, straight away. Didn't even have to think twice, right? And then we got, and I wanted either him or Allegri. Okay, they were the two that I wanted. Then we got given Emery, and I thought, do you know what? At least he's won 3 Europa Leagues, and he's come from PSG. He could have been, training some or coaching some good players. It didn't work out. When he was leaving, I thought, right, Allegri's still about. I'd take Rafa Benitez, or I'd take Carlo Ancelotti. Right, they were the 3 that I want, and we got Arteta, and I thought, what's going on with this board? What is actually happening here? I can imagine the interviews now. I reckon the interviews would have all been recorded. They would have been half asleep by the time. They would have looked back at them all together and they would have heard nothing but, I'll take £2 million a year, please. And they would have gone, that's the guy. Who said that? What one? Who said that? Arteta. We'll have him then. They'll do. He's the one we'll have. He's the cheap option. We'll have him. All the others want 15 million a year. We'll take the lad who's on 2 million. So my fingers are pointing at the board and owners here, not just Arteta, because this is us. This is us as a football club at the moment, isn't it? The cheap option. It isn't all Mikel Arteta. I'm not a Mikel Arteta hater. I'd love him to do well, and I want him to prove me wrong. And I hope in the next 3 games that he does prove me wrong, and that we are in the Europa League, and that we've absolutely smashed Tottenham. But I don't have the confidence we're going to do that with the way we're playing under this manager. And I don't believe personally that we can sit there and say that Unai Emery deserved to lose his job if Arteta doesn't deserve to lose his job. Because as much as I wanted Emery gone, I still want this manager gone, but even more so because of where we're heading at the moment. The league table doesn't lie to you. Look at where we are in the table. Emery got us to a Europa League final with Monreal instead of Tierney, Iwobi instead of Saka, Mkhitaryan instead of Welbeck, El Neni instead of Partey, Mustafi instead of Gabriel, and Socrates instead of Pablo Mari. Are you telling me this team's worse than that team? Come on, man. We've improved our players and we're playing terrible compared to it. And that's got to be down to the manager.
It's quite funny that you talk about when Emery went. I remember watching us on Sky and Benitez was the guest. And he basically said, I want to go to the Arsenal without actually saying it.
I'd have taken him.
I remember that.
Do you remember that? It was unbelievable. I'm thinking, he wants it. He desperately wants it. Why don't we just go for it? Because let's face it, we can't. I'd love to get Allegri and people like that there, but do you think he would have come to us? The club was in turmoil. The players we had weren't good enough.
Apparently we interviewed them, Melvin, but apparently the board said that they weren't the right men. It was Arteta who was the right man.
Really?
Well, that's what the rumours are. We interviewed Allegri,
no.
we interviewed these players, Ancelotti, all these. That's the rumour. I don't know how true it is, obviously. But
Dear.
Arteta was the right man. I'd be very, very surprised if Arteta lined up with a load of novices and they went, he's the best novice. I think they interviewed proven managers, definitely.
Well, that's disappointing. But I'm saying this Benitez, I mean, he ticked a lot of boxes. He knows the Premier. He's successful. He had the heart to come to Arsenal. He wanted it. And he obviously knows how bad we were, and he still wanted it. So I was just very disappointed when we didn't actually go for him. But now you're telling me these other things, I'm even more disappointed. No, I think that listen, it's a horrible thing to say as an Arsenal supporter, but do we deserve a good manager? The way this club's run, from top to bottom? Do we actually deserve a decent manager? Years ago we did. I don't think we do now. We've got a board, non-existent board, because basically they got no power. It's run by the father and son. Whatever they say goes. We don't even know what money's going in and out because it's a private company now. So we got no anything about that. And also, all you do know is when you see a transfer done, you can't believe how much money we've lost on a player, how we've overpaid for certain players. So really, it's still not it's not just 6 or 7 players that need to go. It's above them as well that a lot's got to go. And I'm not just talking about the owner. The owner's poor, not just because he hasn't put any money in. He has put money in, not out of his own pocket, but he's taken money out of the club and given it for us to the club to spend. It's the people below him. He doesn't know how to designate jobs. He doesn't actually hire the right people. We've had mugs. Well, we've been taken from mugs for the people that have got good money out of us and sold.
We've become a novice. We've become a novice club, Melv. That's what we've done. We've become a novice club.
So
yeah, we have.
We have. Decent manager then, do we? I'm not sure we do.
This is why I'm looking at the board and owners, because we've got a board, an owner, who has absolutely no interest apart from if you called the Rams. We've got his son, who told us to be excited when we signed Pepe. We've got a novice in Edu who's now come in, and everyone thinks he's a genius. We've got a novice manager. Funny enough, who's been performing on the pitch for us? Seniors or novices? Oh, novices. Saka and Smith Rowe. So it leads from the top, it comes all the way down, and that's what starts to happen. And if you look at what Kroenke's doing, he's not got any interest. I don't actually hate Kroenke for that, because he's never actually come out and said, I love Arsenal. He's made it quite clear that he doesn't give 2 shits. So I look at it and think that maybe it's Josh Kroenke that can take us forward. He's not interested because he thinks it's exciting that we signed someone for 72 million that we're paying over an 80-year period. So he's clearly clueless. We've got Edu and we've got Arteta that are now teaming up together. And I will agree with Ben on one thing. I think our transfer window and our transfers have definitely 100% improved. They have. But it's a circus of a club. It is an absolute circus the way it's being run at the moment. And we talk about where we should be with what managers we're going for. And I think it's interesting because obviously with Diego Simeone, when I wanted him, a lot of the fan base said, well, we don't want to play football like that. That's not the Arsenal way. Well, what is the Arsenal way then? Because we haven't played the Arsenal way since we've been at the Emirates. And it's been 17 years now. So I look at it and I think if you would ask any Atletico Madrid fan if they would be unhappy with their league position and what they've won under Diego Simeone, none of them are going to be unhappy for only winning 1-0 or 2-1. Because I'll take that in a heartbeat like we did when we had George Graham. We won a lot under George Graham, and Simeone has won a lot under Atletico Madrid. Everyone wants to win 5-0 every game. It's not possible. Sometimes you have to win dirty and win ugly. And that's what Simeone would have done. He would have given us some discipline. Look at what Ancelotti's doing at Everton, with a poor side, by the way. It was not as good as the Arsenal players. They might have a better midfield than us, but I think so of Sheffield United. Look at what he's done at Everton at the moment, Ancelotti. It's absolutely brilliant. That could have been Arsenal. That could have been what we could have been in Everton's position this season and going for the Champions League. But everyone else says, no, it's not the Arsenal way. Winning 1-0 is not good. We want to make sure we're winning 4-3. That's what Arsenal want to do. And if we lose 1-0, it's okay because it's not a bad loss. I just don't understand the mentality of this club.
My brother-in-law, years ago, when George Graham was a manager, my brother-in-law always had a go at me. He's a Spurs supporter. Oh, you only won 1-0. And I should just smile. Yeah, I know. Yeah, 1-0 again. Yes, you smile and smile. And going back to Josh Kroenke, I heard a rumour, I don't know how true it is, that he said be excited because he thought we were signing Pele. I don't know how true it is. I mean, don't hold me. You know what I mean?
I like that.
Pele might have been better even at like 80 odd year old, I reckon. But anyway.
Oh, you would have, mate.
But at the end of the day, that's where the main problem lies, right at the top. And
yeah, it is.
Would any other top manager want to come and work with them? I don't think they would. I mean, you say all these names. I don't think the likes of Allegri and Simeone. Let's take one look at it and go, why would I want to go and work under Kroenke? They wouldn't get supported. They wouldn't.
I agree with you.
I just don't think all the time Stan Kroenke is the owner of Arsenal Football Club, we're ever going to go back to the top, and we're not. He's clearly shown he's not ambitious enough. I mean, the money's gone there. Yeah, it has, but not out of his own pocket. He's not interested. That's why recruitment teams and things like that have been a circus. How close is he to actual what's going on at proceedings? He's nowhere near.
Well, when they do get it wrong, Ben, he don't care. When they do get it wrong, you know.
How many games does he go to? I can only name one cup final he was at. Seriously,
I don't even know that.
That's why you get such a mess, and that's why we've had novices, and it's an absolute joke, and that's why I would love to have had a big name manager at Arsenal. I just can't see any of them working.
Well, look at our recruitment. Look at our recruitment over the last 10 years. It's been a shambles, isn't it? When you look at Granit Xhaka and Mustafi that cost more than Van Dijk and Kante, something's wrong. Yeah. Something is wrong. When Luis Suarez is £40 million and we go, oh, sorry, no, we're rejecting that. Do you know who we got that season instead of him? Yaya Sanogo. That was our signing instead of Luis Suarez, right? So you look at the recruitment, it's been nothing short of piss poor. Absolutely dreadful. And then my problem is we're still not learning because we're still getting the David Luiz and the Willians and these washed up players. When are we going to learn and go for some young, vibrant players? Now, I know that's happening in some positions because I'm a massive fan of Tierney, huge fan of Gabriel. I think that Thomas Partey is a good signing, albeit he is 27 and not so young. But I think we're starting to look now at the right areas of the recruitment. But, you know, this podcast was about Arteta, and I still think that this manager is not showing enough with those players that he's bought. And I remember with Kroenke, was it 10 years ago, 11 years ago, Vince McMahon, he'd ended up getting an arena at the WWE for Kroenke, and Kroenke's Denver Nuggets were playing at the same day. And he said, oh, don't worry, we won't get through the playoff finals. We'll take the venue. It'll be fine. And they won, and they had to cancel it. And then Vince McMahon came out and said, I think Stan Kroenke should be arrested for impersonating a good businessman because he's not one. He asked me for a venue and doesn't even believe in his own team that are going to get to the playoffs when all the fans did. That's what Stan Kroenke is, mate. He has got no ambition about winning at all. He's just happy to be mid-table. 10th would be fine for him. Absolutely fine for Kroenke. He wouldn't care. He's got no ball. He wouldn't even realise. He probably doesn't even know where we are on the table. He's probably only just worked out we're playing in red and white. He's got no interest in this club at all, this bloke.
No, I agree. Dave from that podcast there, why do people comment about Moyes doing well with West Ham? Do people want Moyes is that the case? I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say David Moyes would be the right man, but he is an experienced manager who's got decent results at most clubs he's been at, hasn't he? He's done a decent job at Everton before. I know Man United didn't work out for him particularly well, but he's doing really well now.
Spain. He struggled in Spain, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, but then he doesn't really speak Spanish, does he? So you can't really blame him for that. But no, he's generally done well, hasn't he, in the Premier League? He knows what he's done. I wouldn't
Preston and Everton were brilliant. He was very good for us too, yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily want David Moyes in particular, but you can't argue with the job he's doing at West Ham. And, you know, as Dan pointed out before with Everton, I don't think West Ham have got a better squad of players than us. They've got some good players. You know, Souček in midfield is a great player. Antonio, they've got one or two others. A guy they bought from Hull. You see, there's another one, isn't it? Someone, Bowen, they bought from Hull, you know. Great bit of recruitment that was. And it's very rare that we buy players like that, isn't it? As we've said, you know, our recruitment
too snobbish, mate. Too snobbish. We don't go players like that.
I've said that as well, about being snobbish. I've said that. Richard, what about the centre half they got? Craig, what's his name? From West Brom.
Dawson.
Craig Dawson, yeah.
He's been a revelation. He's like Frank Beckenbauer at the moment, isn't he? I mean, we would never look at someone like that. We needed, for going back years, a big, solid centre half, and we never got it. We messed around. Schillaci we got. I remember listening to someone on the radio going, Arsenal buying Schillaci. Do they actually know what he's like? Really, it was, I thought, bloody hell, that sounds good. And we've done it for so long and missing out on players. Even back in the Wenger days, we've done out, you know, we had a crap centre half. We had a chance to buy Cahill. I think the right figure was 8 and we bid 6 or something. So much so that Bolton said we made a derisory offer. That's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. I want to know the guy that signed the cheque for Pepe. I know we did it over 6 seasons or whatever it is, But we're in debt anyway. We haven't paid for our stadium yet, which we should have done. It was a badly organised loan what we had. To say, you know what, 72 million, I think that ain't bad. I've never heard of the guy, I'll be honest with you. He might have been the greatest thing this side of Mississippi. But when we bought him, I'm thinking, 72, this guy's got to be amazing. But why haven't I heard of him? You always hear of other players, don't you? Especially with media nowadays. And yet we've had 72 million. I hope he does all right, but he's not going to ever be a 72 million pound player for us. Because he's just, he's going to be, he might be a good player, he might be a very good player, but he's not going to be. It's just, we're penny pinching on certain things and we just shut our eyes and pay what they want for other things. And what about the people we let go? 200 million, I reckon, we've just let go through our fingers, badly managed the way we've got rid of certain players. We've let them go up to the edge with a contract and then we let them go for nothing. And what West Brom have done with Noel's AMN is that they know they don't have to buy players off us anymore. We rent them. Why have all the money? We can do that. We're now a renting team. You don't have to buy a car off us. We rent it to you or give it to you free and you just pay for the petrol. And that is, no other club does that. And it's like, get me half a daily. I wish we'd have half a daily. He'd probably do some better deals for us. It really is pathetic, I'm telling you. The money we've let go through our fingers. And then they tell us we can't afford to buy this player for 20 grand.
You did right. That kind of leads us to the situation as the reason why we've got Arteta as our manager, for that very same reason, because it is penny pinching. I mean, Sam put a comment in before about some of these managers that would come to Arsenal there. He said he thinks Nagelsmann would come, Ten Hag would come. He says this no one wants to come is just futile. It's down to Josh and Edu making the wrong choices. Yes, in a lot of cases it has been. And if it's right what was said earlier, that, guys like Simeone and were actually interviewed at the same time we got Arteta, then if they rejected their claim for the job and got Arteta instead, then it's clear that they've made a lot of wrong choices, isn't it? Because why would you, as we've had another comment from, where's it gone, from James saying that, Arsenal didn't need an inexperienced manager. Yeah, exactly. And if there was experienced managers that were interviewed at the same time and were, obviously, if they were interviewed, they was keen on the job, why did they not get offered the job? Someone with this experience that I think would have improved us a lot quicker, and this process wouldn't have been dragged out over the same amount of time it has, unfortunately. James again there says Arteta a good player, but Arteta not helping his development. Yeah, he's not helping at all. He's not helping himself. And Shane there says Joachim Low is available after the Euros. Here he is.
Not for me.
I mean, no.
Not for me.
Dad, what do you think about that one?
No, I wouldn't know what he's like I know what he's like as an international coach. I don't know what he's like, man. Day to day around the dressing room or anything like that. I don't know enough about what he'd be like. I remember Sven-Göran Eriksson was always quite a good international coach, wasn't he? But then when he went to places for clubs, it was just never the same. And I wonder if he's a little bit like that. I haven't seen enough experience to know. I want someone who's a proven winner, Rich. I want someone like Rafa Benitez who's been and won a Champions League and has done one in the Premier League. What Rafa Benitez did with Newcastle was outstanding, by the way. Not only did he keep them up the second year, the first year when he went down, he got them back up, which is very, very hard to do in the Championship. He's done it with Liverpool. He's gone and done it with Valencia. He's done it with Real Madrid. He won a Europa League with Chelsea. He's done a lot in for the game, and he knows Premier League football. I'd go for Rafa Benitez, who's currently available now, over Arteta any day of the week. We wouldn't be sitting in 10th, trust me. He might not be good top 4, but we certainly wouldn't be in 10th or 11th, that's for sure, with Rafa.
No, I don't think you would disagree with that. Dan from the cricket field and Burnley fan, it says from outside, you guys need a major change at ballroom level. Yeah, that's definitely true. And he thinks Arteta's out of his depth. Again, he's probably got a point there as well. I don't think there's too much we can argue with there. And Newcastle fan Gareth there, if you think Arteta is bad, try tuning in to every week. Yeah, no, that's a fair point actually. But I guess it's from where you've come from, isn't it? I mean, Newcastle have been a mid-table Premier League club or lower for a while, haven't they? Yo-yoed a little bit. We've just literally spent 20 odd years in the top 4, and now we're kind of dropped quite quickly. So I suppose our maybe our expectations are slightly higher maybe than Newcastle. But yeah, obviously I do feel your pain with Steve Bruce, definitely. I watched that game.
I know Arteta is inexperienced, but would any of these other managers get any better out of some of these players? I think these players are just diabolical. I just don't think some of them are actually uncoachable. I think honestly they're that bad. The squad, some of the squad's that bad that I don't think people like Lowe and Benitez will get anything better out of them. Honestly, I think there's so many changes that need to be made within the squad. It's unbelievable. I know Arteta's inexperienced, but I just don't think any other coach would do any better with the likes of Xhaka, Elneny, Holding. They're not good enough for this football club. They're not going to take us into the top four. I don't care who's the manager. I just don't think
there's very few managers. I know we've had some before, but going forward, there's very few managers that would keep playing Xhaka week in, week out. All right. That for me is the worst thing ever. If I'm going to go one side of the fence, that would be my main thing about Arteta. The last game
not just Xhaka, even Melv, is it?
Sorry,
not just Xhaka, is it? There's others as well. But you're right about Xhaka.
Well, but that for me is my main. That was my main with him. That's my main reason with Arteta. The last game of the season against West Ham before the thing happened, I said to my son, I says, I will not have my season ticket next season if Xhaka's in the team. He just aggravates me. I'm sitting there and I'm like this the whole time because I'm expecting every time to get the ball, he's going to do something. He's going to do a hospital ball, give it back, not pass it forward when he should do loads of different things. And I says, and I knew his mate wanted to go. I said, your mate can have it next year. I don't want to know. I'm serious. That's how much I've just had enough of it. Why should I sit there and get aggravated? And I tell you what, after the last game, I mean, I think Xhaka should play on Thursday, definitely, on the basis he can make 3 mistakes in a row, can't he? Get a hat-trick, cost us goals. He's made 2 in the last game, make it 3 in a row. But I after that game on Saturday, I thought to myself, do I make a stand here and go, it's pathetic, really. I know it's pathetic, a knee-jerk reaction. I don't want to watch us, even on telly, if that geezer's in the team. It aggravates me so much. Listen, just before the game starts, I'm going to turn on the telly, I know I am. But that's how incensed I was with this geezer. He just drives me mad.
You're not alone, mate. You're not alone.
Oh, no.
I can't stand the guy. I can't stand the guy. Because for whatever the 10 games he has, which are class, and everyone says, hey, we need this player on our team moving forward, he's always got one of those absolutely diabolical situations, whether he's getting sent off, giving away a penalty, suicidal back pass. Get rid of that from my team moving forward, please. I've had enough of the Mustafis and Kalasadaks of this world. Get rid of this geezer. Get rid of the Bellerins. Get rid of the players that are going to be costing us and making this error. Because what have we seen in the last 7 weeks? Danny Ceballos heading it back. Cedric passing it back to a Villa player. Holding and Bellerin, who can't even outjump a 5'4" midget in the bloody box. We've got bloody Xhaka now. We've got Luiz, an absolute calamity against Wolves, City, Liverpool, giving away things. And that's where Ben's got a point. These players are terrible, but the manager keeps playing them every single week because he hasn't got anyone else. Well, when you put 11 players on the pitch, who else have you got? Something called a subs bench. And what you do is you look up there and say, which one of these can I bring on that isn't going to be a numpty like Xhaka or a donkey like Luiz or give an absolute error-prone pass back from like Cedric or Bellerin and put them in. And if it's Ceballos and he makes a mistake, you put in Aziz. And if Aziz has a bit of a bad game, you bring on Elneny. That's the idea of it. Punish these players. What is their punishment? I'm playing 90 minutes next week. I'm playing 90 minutes on Thursday. Shocking.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
What I found disappointing with Arteta is that if you believe what you hear, he's going to try and get rid of the players that he could have got rid of at the end of last season and should have. The unperformers he could have got rid of. There was allegedly interest from other clubs, and he like Holding. I know he wouldn't have got any money for Holding, but he could have gotten a Newcastle on loan. He might have got money for Holding, but he goes, no, he's the future. Holding is not the future. As shown this season, with 4 or 5 games, they say 4 or 5 games. I noticed that the forward is 2 yards off him. Holding does not know where the forward is. He hasn't got a clue, and he's daydreaming. I mean, you've got one job there, mate. Look at the forward and get near him and stop him from getting the ball. He's done that on 4 or 5 occasions, which has cost us goals. Not just a headed one, where he's still looking for the guy now. Anyway, doesn't know where he is. But other games as well, where I see the guy pulled in, thinking, "Holding, you're there. Where is he? He's like 2-3 yards off. You can't keep doing that. You're not." And also, I know he's tall, and they say, "Oh, he's a good header." He's not a good header with the ball. Proves it when he goes up the other end. He cannot hit a barn door heading the ball. He goes anywhere. People don't notice that when you're a defender, when you're doing a corner, because if it goes anywhere, then you stop the other geese from scoring. You've done your job. So all it's about is good in the air.
You are so spot on, mate. Everyone's been telling me he's been our best centre half this season, and Granit Xhaka's been our best centre midfielder. I look at it and I think if Xhaka and Holden are your best two, then please leave now. Please give up. Don't watch football anymore, because if Rob Holding isn't breakdancing in front of Jack Grealish, or giving away a ball, or missing a header, or leaving a guy marking space instead of the player, he ain't good enough for my team. I'm sorry, man. I'm used to Tony Adams and Sol Campbell growing up. I don't want players like that in my team. Yeah, he is fine if you have to bring him in for a game as a number five centre-back or 4 centre-back, whatever you want to call it. He is not someone where he is our future. But this guy's given him a long-term contract, and he's begging David Luiz to stay. And he wanted Granit Xhaka to stay. He was on his way to Hertha Berlin. I was celebrating. Next minute, he's staying in the team and he's playing every single game. It's like, what is going on with this manager? He's loving these Wenger players. Bellerin, he was his lodger. He ain't going to drop him. Bellerin was his lodger when he was at Arsenal. El Neni, I really liked him when I played with him. What? He's awful and has been for 5 years. Man, I can't understand this bloke at all. Don't get it.
I reckon if it carries on like it is with Xhaka, I reckon there's an even money chance to be a statue outside the stadium for him in a couple of years.
Well, he's a statue on a pitch, Granit Xhaka, isn't he? He don't fucking move on that one. So he might as well go and stand outside the Emirates.
I mean, James,
that's the big thing, though, isn't it? If Arteta, obviously, he's going to stay on, isn't he? But I mean, if we go into next season with these players starting, then I mean, it'd be all hell's going to break loose in the Emirates. It will. There's no question about it, and rightly so, because these players aren't good enough. We are 10th in the league, and some of these players shouldn't even play for a club that's 17th, 18th. They're not that good. They're Championship players, some of them. I wouldn't even put Bellerin in the Premier League. Honestly, I think since he had that injury, he's totally lost that yard of place. He's a totally different player. Honestly, he's in no man's land some of the time.
Mate, I reckon I've taken 5 foul throws in all my 15 years of playing football. He's taken 5 in one season, this guy. Get rid of him, man. He's absolutely toilet. And
the laughing thing is we could end up getting 20 million from him in the summer if we go and sell him. Come on, bring it on.
No, we give him another contract. Don't worry. We give him another contract. Don't worry about that.
We will.
But it's clear to see. It's clear to see. And I like I say, I'm more obviously I'm Arteta in and that. But some of the team selections is an absolute joke. And like I say, it's unexplainable what he's doing. But that's what I mean. Fingers crossed, hope and pray. It's a big turnaround in the summer.
And Ben, what's he doing? What's he doing with Martinelli, Ben? Like, this is what I don't get. What's he doing with Martinelli?
I keep trying.
What is going on there?
I keep trying to say to myself, it's a cautious thing, because he said he was going to be cautious with the young players, particularly if they picked up injuries and stuff. I mean, bringing him on against Burnley. I mean, look at the state of that pitch. What chance he get? I don't know. I can't. I'm just looking at excuses now. I mean, we badly need Martinelli in our team, a fit Martinelli. He clearly isn't 100% fit, but why is he still managing the bench? Why is he still going off to Greece and to Rome to sit on the bench if he's not fit?
It's ridiculous.
I don't understand it. Because that's the end of it. To me, that's just a waste of place on the bench as well. So I don't get the Martinelli thing. I really don't.
And also, what is it with the Martinelli thing? Because I've said that he doesn't rate him, and everyone says he does, he loves him. Well, the stats on the pitch. Yeah, he's awesome. And the stats on the pitch, the stats on the pitch say he doesn't rate him. He doesn't get any games. And if you look before his injury, he played 5 times under Arteta, and 4 of those were from the bench. And then just got not used for 3 of the games before he got miraculously injured. And then he didn't come back with his knee injury. Now, I understood the first few games. I thought, bring him on. And he started against Man United, hooked him off at half time. I didn't think he was terrible. He didn't have a great game, but I didn't think he was terrible. Same against, was it Brighton or West Brom? And then all of a sudden, we don't now see him for ages. And then you think, maybe he is protecting him. Hold my beer. Callum Chambers walks in from about 9 months out, 90 minutes against weekend. And I'm sitting there thinking, that doesn't make any sense to me then. Saka, he's out there 90 minutes. Xhaka, 90 minutes. Just any of those can get injured. Partey and Tierney come back from injury. On you go, son. Get in there quickly. Martinelli's been wrapped in cotton wool. I don't buy it. He doesn't rate the guy.
No.
I hope he's not. I hope Martinelli is not the new Saliba.
Well, if he doesn't rate Martinelli, pack your bags, mate, and get the fuck out the club, because you clearly don't see a good player in front of your eyes. That's the way I see it. Martinelli is the future of this club, along with Saka.
There's got to be more to it. It has to be, because it's great. Honestly, it's bamboozling. I just don't get it. It must be something else to it. The reason why he's not playing him, I just don't get it.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking there must be something else, because if you can't see a player in Martinelli, then you're in the wrong game.
Well, yeah, but you see, to me, if there is something else, if there's another reason, then what he's doing is weakening the team for other reasons that aren't to do with football. And in that case, then he shouldn't be manager of this club, because Martinelli in the team is going to improve us in certain games. We've been losing games. Martinelli's been on the bench. Surely you throw him on for 15 minutes because he's likely to be able to do something. He's got that ability, hasn't he, to do something. And if it's like, well, I'm not bringing Martinelli on because I don't like him or because he upset me the other week in training, then to me, then Arteta shouldn't be manager of the club if that's the reason. There can't be anything to do with that. You've got to pick the players that you've got in your squad that are fit and available. You've got to, if they're needed in a game, you've got to play them regardless. You know, he fell out with Ozil for whatever reason, never picked him at all, and there were games when Ozil would have maybe done a little bit better than the players that were on the pitch at the time. You know, you can't allow these things to be more important. And at the end of the day, you're a manager of a football club, and your job is about winning games of football, and that's it. You know, if you don't get on with players, but they're better players than what you're picking, then you've got to put that to one side, and you've got to put them in the team because they're going to get you a result, or they're going to help you to get a result, or make it easier. So to me, if there's other issues going on, and it's with Martinelli, it's been with other players, it's not just Martinelli, is it? Martinelli's a big one at the moment because it's baffling, as you say. But he's fell out. It seems to have fallen out with some other players, and some of them now, or most of them now, aren't even at the club anymore, are they? And it worries me with Martinelli that that's going to happen to him. And he's potentially, like Dan said, he's a future of the club, isn't he? With him and Saka, the two players that we should be building this team around. He should be building the team around them to it, especially in a forward area of the pitch where we're struggling to score goals. You can't tell me Martinelli isn't going to do better than Pepe or than Willian. Of course he is. Of course he is. He done better in that game against Man City when he came back from injury, his first game. He ran around for 45 minutes. He moved more in that 45 minutes than Willian's done all season. And the first opportunity he got, he took him out of the team and he's not brought him back in. You know, and we've been losing games. We were losing 1-0 to Man City. Why didn't he bring him on? No, you think, you know, he brought on, was it Ceballos instead when we needed a goal? You know, he did the same against Burnley. We're drawing 1-1, want to win
Shocking
the game.
subs. His subs are ludicrous, aren't they?
He brings Ceballos, yeah, Ceballos hit the post and very nearly won it, but that would have been more by luck than judgment. If you've got Martinelli on the bench, you need a goal, you bring him on. You do, because
we were 3-1 up against Leeds and 3-1 up against Leicester, and he brought on Aubameyang, and I just think, what's he bringing Aubameyang on now for 20 minutes when he can give Martinelli some legs? I just do not understand that. And you say Martinelli and Saka are the future. I don't know if they even are, because he's told Willian we're going to win the Champions League in 3 years, so maybe he thinks Willian's his future. I mean, it's unbelievable, the stuff that comes out of this manager's mouth. It's a journalist's dream in press conferences because he's so naive, the stuff he says. It's absolutely hilarious. People think he's good in press conferences. He's absolutely awful in press conferences. All he says is the same things all the time. I was really impressed with how well we dominated the game, even though we lost 1-0 every single time. And it's just a journalist's dream. You can see journalists rubbing their hands together going, who's going to trip him up this week? The guy's learning on the job, and it's not his fault. You know, he's been put in the deep end by our board and our owners, and he ain't good enough. He ain't going to take us forward. So we need to try and get it right next time, because we've messed up. And I'll tell you what, he's lucky the fans ain't in the bloody ground. I'll tell you that now. He is lucky the fans are not in this stadium, because if we were to lose on Sunday and the fans are in the ground, I would not want to be Mikel Arteta with our fan base, mate. If it was bad under Emery, this is going to be even worse under this guy, because he's not even a manager. He's not even proven. This is what's wrong. It's just unbelievable. And, you know, Thursday's huge, absolutely huge for us. If we lose on Thursday, our season's done, isn't it, really? Like, season over, let's get on with the next season. You know, that's how bad it is, because the league position, I mean, people are sitting there telling me we can still get top four. I mean, I'm sorry, you're in cloud cuckoo land if you think we're going to get anywhere near the top four. It is unbelievable.
No, you're right. I mean, the top four had gone a while ago, and I thought the top six was maybe possible, but the result on Saturday, I think, is even put an end to that as well. And I think we're going to have to accept the fact that we're probably going to finish roughly the same position as last season, possibly even lower. And that's not progress, is it? When you look at the transfer windows that we've had this season, the players that's gone out, the players that's come in, the squad's been improved in quality. So for us not to have finished higher than last season is an underachievement. I mean, Shane says there that if we get knocked out of Europe, he should play the youngsters for the rest of the season.
He should do that anyway.
Yeah, well, he should be playing more of them, or certainly giving them more of an opportunity, putting them on the bench. Balogun, Aziz, as we've said, get them on, give them minutes. But he's not giving Martinelli minutes. So why is he going to give Aziz minutes? Or why is he going to give Balogun minutes when he's not giving Martinelli minutes, who's proven himself at the top level already at the club, hasn't he? Last season, he proved himself. So he's not going to play them, is he? So I don't know. I think it's all a bit of a mess, actually. And I must admit, I'm still. Well, I was more on the fence than I am now. I'm kind of, Dan's kind of persuaded me on a lot of his points that he's made. That
I'm slipping as well. I'm flipping over. That maybe. I mean, I agree. I do like Arteta. I think he's a nice guy. I thought he was a decent player when he played for us. He did a decent job at the time when he was there, and I do think he kind of gets Arsenal. But unfortunately, that's not quite enough to put up with poor results on a regular basis, poor performances, the same mistakes, him not changing things when he needs to, the substitution, as we've mentioned. I just think he's making too many mistakes too regularly, the same mistakes over and over again, to quote the channel name, but that's what he's doing. And I mean, I don't know, to me, that you'd think by now, after 18 months at the club as manager, that a lot of these mistakes he should have put right by now. The mistakes from himself that he's made, and not keep doing them. But unfortunately, I don't really see that in him. I don't see that that's what he's doing. I see him continuing to do the same thing. We said that some of the team selections are baffling. His inflexibility with the tactics. I just feel as though, he still thinks he's at Manchester City sometimes, and that, we can play that way because that's the way he wants to play. Well, we can't with the players that we've got. It's obvious we can't. Everyone knows that because they're not good enough. So he's got to change the style to suit what we've got, because that's the players he's got to choose from, and unfortunately he's persisting with it. We continue to make the same mistakes. We continue to drop points we shouldn't be dropping, and we sit in mid-table. And, you could say that with the squad that we've got, that's where we should be, and that's probably right. But I still believe that with a more experienced manager coming in or being at the club even now, I think the results would have been better. Probably not significantly better, like we said before. We're probably not in a position to be in the top four of this squad, but we shouldn't be 10th. We're Arsenal. We shouldn't be 10th with the money that we've spent on this group of players. We shouldn't be 10th in the league, should we? And I think that's that's where we are.
It's a sackable offence, mate. It's a sackable offence, particularly if we go out of all the trophies as well in March. If I would have said to you after we beat Fulham 3-0 the first game of the season, that come March we'd be out of everything and we'd be 10th in the league, you say, Christ, who's our manager then? Because it won't be Arteta. Surely you can't sit there and say, "Oh no, that's about right. That's where we should be." Give Mikel Arteta time, trust the process. This wouldn't have come out. This wouldn't have come out in the summer. No chance. I don't know where it's come from with this fan base. And people say he's a nice guy, like you say, Rich, and people tell me Bellerin's a lovely guy and that Granit Xhaka's great around the place. Mate, so's the Gunnosaurus Rex, but I don't want him in my centre midfield. Bellerin might be a lovely, lovely player. He might be lovely. He might be really, really nice, but he ain't got the mentality. The minute that Bellerin said that Alexis Sanchez wants to win too much, I was done with him. Get out my club then. If you want people that want to win and you don't want people there in your club that want to win football games, then get the hell out. And Arteta's the same. I just don't. He might be a nice lad. He might be lovely, but it ain't working for me.
Well,
on top of that, Dan, Bellerin gets the captain's armband.
Well, everyone does.
There we go.
Doesn't.
Pass it round, don't they? That bloody armband.
When I looked at the table last night, I looked and I saw that West Ham are 10 points above us. I've never known that before. Never, ever known that before.
But trust the process, Melvin. You can't say trust the process, mate. What is this process? No one knows what it is. They just say it, don't they? No one can tell me what it is. They
exactly. Yeah, it's a throwaway line, isn't it?
It's just a line. No one can tell you ever will know what it is. Trust the process. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Unbelievable, isn't it? It's like top four is a trophy, isn't it? That's just another line that everyone keeps going on. I remember coming out of the Emirates at the Highbury in 2003, absolutely devastated when we come second to Man United. And now people are saying this. Don't be worried with 10th. Don't worry. It's just a process. Eh? Nah. Wrong club you're supporting if you think we're all right in 10th. It's unbelievable.
No, I'm totally with you. And I mean, I know it's difficult because, no club, no matter how big the club is, has got a right to success or got a right to win things or anything
No,
like
of course
that.
not.
And we're in the same boat. But, we can't keep continuing on the process, if you like, that we've been on, as Dan said, for probably 16 years, but certainly even more so over the last 3 or 4 years, where we're going backwards, and we're going backwards fast. Like Melvin just said there, for West Ham to have not only gone past us, but to be 10 points ahead of us is unbelievable, really, when you look at it. And it's not just them. Look at Aston Villa; they only got relegated last year. They're above us in the league, and how much did they spend this season in the transfers compared to how much we've spent? And they're doing a lot better than we are. I mean, so there is an issue there, isn't there? There's a reason why, and it isn't. Yes, we know there's issues behind the scenes as well, but on the pitch, I don't believe this group of players. Yes, we've got some poor players, as we know, that shouldn't be at the club. But with the squad that we've got, I don't think we should be 10th. I think we should be higher. I really do, and I feel as though Arteta's the one that's picking the team. He's deciding on the tactics. He's making the substitutions. He's doing all these things, and he's underperforming. And he's been underperforming all season. And in fact, when you look back even into last season, apart from the Man City game in the FA Cup semi-final, we didn't actually play that well in most of the games then either, did we? We got a few good results here and there, but we didn't actually play that well. The FA Cup final, we were fortunate to beat Chelsea. We were 1-0 down. They had a man sent off. Their best player on the day got injured, and we took advantage of that, and it was great. And it was fantastic to win that. But let's not kid ourselves. We played well in that final, because we didn't. And we played well in the semi-final. Yeah, fair enough, we did in that one game. But how often have we played well? Arteta's had 18 months. How many games? You could probably name off in one hand how many games we've actually played well in 18 months.
Well, just this season, I can't really think of any. I thought we played well against Leeds, and I thought we played well against Southampton away. And now I'm struggling. Leicester was all right last week. Leicester was all right. Chelsea at home, I'll give you that one. Maybe Fulham at the start of the season. That was all right, was it? I know it's Fulham.
Fulham were though. They didn't know where they were. Fulham, did they?
No, that's true.
You can't really.
But I'm struggling. I'm struggling really, and this has been a steady decline, Rich. For a long time. Long time, and that's why when people say they want statues of Arsene Wenger ahead of George Graham, I think the way he left us, I think he deserves a statue. The way he left us in this absolute mess, and people blame Emery for leaving it in a mess as well. But this was already done by Wenger and Gazidis, in my opinion, and we're trying to pick up the pieces still now. It's unbelievable how Robin Van.
No, I agree with that, but then also as well, the way I looked at it as well, maybe going back a little bit further, I think George Graham left us in a mess, and Arsene Wenger came in and sorted it out quite quickly, And just because we're in a mess now doesn't mean that it's irreversible. And it doesn't mean that somebody else can't come in and make those changes. Yes, I know. I know Wenger had the backing of David Dean quite heavily, which probably helped as well. But Arsene Wenger did it, because I thought when George Graham left, we were in a similar situation. We finished 12th in the league that season. We had a midfield which was non-existent, absolute crap players that just weren't good enough throughout the team. And Arsene Wenger came in and changed it all very quickly, didn't he? Not only with the players that are already there, but he bought the players we needed cheap as well.
You know what? Lee Judges made a great point on Monday with me, and he said when George Graham came in and when Arsene Wenger came in, straight away you saw something. You thought something's happening. I didn't see that. I didn't see it with Emery, to be honest with you. I started to see a little bit of a style of play, but I didn't see enough, and I certainly ain't seen it with this manager. So I don't think that these people, we got it right yet. I think we will eventually, but I don't think we have at the moment. But some of the mentality has got to be shifted from this club, because when Robin Van Persie was sniffing around Manchester United, Peter Reelwood said, "Robin, why do you want to go over there? We're financially secure here. I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to win anything with you. I want to go and win the league with them." So he did. Now, I don't blame him for that personally. Everyone hates Van Persie and Sanchez and players like that for leaving Arsenal. They're the ones laughing. Ashley Cole's won everything there is in football because he left Arsenal. So was Cesc Fabregas, so was Van Persie, so was bloody Nasri. Horrible, absolutely horrible. Off from Sanchez. They've all gone and left because they went to try and win something, and the majority of them did win something. So you can't sit there and blame them and say, "Oh, you should have stayed with us. Look what we've done in the last 15 years. Ha, ha, ha. Since you've gone and won Champions League, we've got to a final against Birmingham and shit our pants." Do you know what I mean? Like, this is the problem with this club. We are so deluded at times, this section of his fan base, that I don't know where. It's embarrassing to me. It's embarrassing. So I want to be challenging for the best. And at the moment, we're miles away from that, in my opinion, even if we do get rid of Arteta. And Ben's got a point, someone could come in and they get the appointment wrong again and we're starting all over again. So, when people say, do you want Arteta out? Yes, I do. But it still needs to be for the right person. Because if you're going to go and give me Mertesacker to go and give him for the rest of the season, I'd rather just keep Arteta. Or if we're going to go and get Henry in or Adams or Vieira that still had not the experience of it, you're just going to see exactly the same things. You might see a couple of team selections change. You might see a couple of tactics change. But actually moving us forward, it's not going to be the experience that's needed. That's why it's got to be a Rafa, a Simeone, a Carlo Ancelotti or an Allegri for me, because they've been there, they're proven winners and they know what they're doing coaching-wise. And they would be able to shift the mentality that has been weak in the last 20 years at this club.
No, I mean, I've been saying actually that it doesn't matter to me how many times we have to change manager till we get the right one. And if we have to change a manager every year for the next 4 years and until we get the right one, then that might be what we have to do. It's no good sticking with the wrong manager just because we don't want to go down Chelsea's route of second manager all the time. We don't want to become like that. But to me, until we get the right one, that's what we're going to have to do. Because we can't just keep going with the wrong. I mean, what I would give now to get someone like George Graham coming into this club and just shaking it up like he did when he came in, with a lot of players that were going through the motions that had been at the club for a while. We got rid of them straight away, put all the young players in the team, changed the mentality, and he did it quickly. We won a trophy in his first season. Yes, I know Arteta did, but like Dan said, you could see what was happening. You could see where we were going, and the same with Arsene Wenger. But I would love to get somebody like that in it. If it is a Simone, so somebody's going to come in and shake things up, because I think too many players are on easy street. I think Arteta's maybe too nice, and I don't think he's strong enough to do it. Honestly, don't.
That's why it makes me laugh. I would take Roman Abramovich any single day of the week. People slate him, slag. Oh, he just sacks managers. Look at what they've won in the last 15 years. It leaves everybody, including Manchester City, by the way, dead in the water. They might have had 15 managers, but what have they got? Well, comes with that 15 trophies. Yeah. We are sitting here 16 years down the line with 4 FA Cups, which I wouldn't change for the world, by the way. And while we should have won it the year that Eduardo broke his leg, we should have won it when Leicester won it. We should have won it in 2010 when Van Persie got sent off for kicking the ball away against Nou Camp. We should have done this. No. I would take Liverpool's last 2 years in the last 16 years of shit that we've had to deal with at the Emirates. This has been so bad, or badly run, should I say, by the Cronkies and by the board in the last 16 years, that the Arsenal fans are laughing at Liverpool because they're doing bad at the moment, and they're laughing at Chelsea for sacking Lampard. We are not in a position to be laughing, Rich, at other clubs at the moment. We are not.
No,
we can laugh at Spurs because it's funny to laugh at them, but everyone else is just absolute. They must be looking at us going, "Why are you laughing?"
No, but you say
took the high ground.
They're above us in the league and they're in a cup final. So who's laughing? You know what I mean?
There you go.
We took the high ground when Abramovich took over Chelsea. We went, all right, you've been taking over this guy with lots of money, but you've sold your soul. Well, they got a lot of money and won a lot of trophies. What we did, we sold out a Cronky, we sold our soul, but we didn't get anything in exchange. That's the difference. We fell between two stools. So we went backwards on that big time.
And look at what Chelsea had done so far. Lampard, give a gob to a novice, who was a bigger legend at Chelsea than Arteta was at Arsenal, by the way. And they just gone, see you later. You're not good enough. Tuchel comes in and now they're going to finish 3rd or 4th. And we're stuck in 10th still because we're trusted the process. Oh, man. weak mentality. Small club mentality. Accepting mediocrity, sorry. Just, man. Needs to change.
I mean, Shane there said that we should have got Brendan Rodgers when Wenger left. I'm not sure about that. Brendan Rodgers hasn't really... he's got a history of blowing things at the last minute, hasn't he?
Brendan shits the bed, mate. Brendan Rodgers shits the bed all the time.
Yeah,
he does.
He does. I don't necessarily think Brendan Rodgers was the answer. And he also saying there winning the FA Cup plastered over the cracks. He certainly did. I think 5 subs in the drinks breaks helped. Yeah, maybe that did as well. The drinks break certainly seemed to. We always seem to play better for 10 minutes after the drinks break, didn't we, last season? So maybe we do miss them, but we can't really rely on stuff like that, can we? And hope that that's going to help us again. Is like Dan said before, we don't keep making excuses for where we are. And unfortunately,
so going back to the owners, then. So how long do we give it? Because at the end of the day, we're not going to get our club back all the time they're here. In my opinion, we won't. I mean, like I say, I'll give it the summer and then see what happens. But I think next year, if things are really bad, Now that's the time to start sticking it on the owners when we go back, because we're not going to progress. We won't.
I agree,
Ben,
Ben.
you're flogging a dead horse, Ben. None of us got any say anymore. It's a private company. You can run around the stadium naked for all I care. It will not make any difference. Whatever we say or do is irrelevant, because they've got the money. They might be losing money, but they're worth an absolute fortune, and they'll only sell when they want to sell, not when anything else happens. The only chance we've got as supporters to see them go is when the stadiums are full again in the next year or two, hopefully, and all of a sudden we get 20,000 people, 20,000 tourists watching us, and the cameras pan round, and all of a sudden the Arsenal got half empty or third empty stadium. Then they start panicking because the sponsors will pull out, and we won't be the sexy club we thought we once were. Other than that, whatever the supporters do, unless they don't go to games, will make no difference at all. They don't even need us now. The club's still running and no one's going.
Exactly.
Exactly. So the first point of call then is if we don't get Europa League or European football next year, what's it going to do to them? I think it could affect them. We don't know because we've not been in that position yet.
They got buckets full.
I think going out of Europe won't be a bad thing, because we might get an answer. We might get some answers out of them. We don't know. We might.
Yeah, well, you're right, Ben. We don't know what's going to happen. And the problem we've got is we don't have a fan base that's united. So it don't matter what happens, because our fan base would rather slate. They can never get together and have one voice. We never have been able to, mate. With the We Care Do You thing come out, the Cronky, everyone wants Cronky out. But what are we actually doing about it? Because we can't unite as a fan base, right? Because people will say, oh, I'm not leaving the stadium. I pay for my season ticket. I'm not going to games. I don't want that. I'll go with my season ticket next season. We're too busy. They can't have one voice. They're too busy slagging off AFTV or We Care Do You or Ashburton Army to actually come together to say, what is it that we all want to do as a fan base? We all would like our football club to be winning trophies, and we don't think this ownership is going to take us forward. So what are we as a fan base going to do about it? We tried We Care Do You. It didn't work because people slated it. We've tried to have opinions on podcasts, on AFTV, on other platforms. Everyone slags it off. We try and make something like Ashburton Army by trying to get some atmosphere around the ground. Everyone says, oh, that's a stupid idea, completely slates it. And the next day when it disappears, they'll go into the ground and go, it's a bit quiet in here, isn't it? I just don't get this fan base, man. I do not understand it. We need to unite together to get the Cronkies out. How are we going to do it? Nobody can tell it. Nobody gets it.
No, that's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing. The fan base is as divided as it possibly could be. It's so divided, it's untrue.
It's been divided for the wrong reasons, isn't it? I mean, it seemed like we spent probably 10 years of Wenger in, Wenger out and all that. We were divided about the wrong things, because I've said this for a long time. It doesn't matter who the manager is. It's almost irrelevant, isn't it? In a lot of ways, because while we've got these owners at the club, we're going to be with the handbrake on, as someone used to say quite a lot, and that's going to be how it is. So that should be where our focus should have been in the first place. Yes, obviously getting a better manager in might well improve results. I don't think we can, we can't dismiss that fact. But ultimately, if the club want to progress and really get where we think that the club should be, which is challenging at the top of the league again, challenging for the big trophies, then the only way that I believe that's going to happen is if we've got different owners who actually care about the club and want that for the club. And I agree with Dan what he said about Abramovich before. We'll say what you like about Abramovich, but he's wanted Chelsea to be successful, and he's been prepared to do what's necessary to make him successful. And I would love an owner like that who's prepared to do that. And if we had that, we wouldn't be sitting here now having a discussion about who the manager should be, because the manager wouldn't last more than 2 years, and it wouldn't matter, because you get one in 2 years, he does what you need him to do for 2 years, get another one in for the next 2 years, and they do what they've got to do for 2 years. Why can't we do that even? You know what I mean? That would be perfect in a way. Yes, it's not the Arsenal way, but Arsenal aren't the same club we were in the 70s or the 80s. We're a different club now. Football's different. We need to get with the times, and we need to realise that. I don't care if we have 10 managers a season. If all of them do well, all of them win us games and we win trophies, it doesn't matter. I don't really care who the manager is, if I'm totally honest, as long as the results on the pitch are good and
100%, mate. The
club's going where it needs to go. And unfortunately, while we've got these owners, I don't think that's ever going to happen. And I think we need to accept that fact. And like Dan said, if we can all come together for that 1A, maybe if there's enough pressure on the owners, they might well decide, actually, this isn't for us. let's sell up and get out. There's plenty of people that would be willing to step in and buy the club. We know. Well, apparently there's one guy in Africa already that wants to come and buy it. Who seems to
Dan Gotti.
Yeah. So maybe this is a good time to try and put a bit more pressure on the owners when we get the opportunity to try to get them out and get someone else.
I will tell you something off camera soon or later, Richard, about the ownership.
All right, that sounds interesting. Joe there says he misses the Champions League music. Well, just watch it on a Tuesday night, Joe. That's fine on the telly. Because you're never going to hear it in our stadium again for a while.
Look at the comparisons though between Chelsea's owner and ours. That's why Chelsea have won what they've won, because he cares about football.
Yeah,
ours doesn't. He cares about what Chelsea do day in, day out, what they do week in, week out. Every game, he's there every single game. He cares. You think he's gonna control, like, let the recruitment go down like that at Chelsea? Of course he wouldn't. Not in a million years.
No,
it's a joke. Honestly, it's an absolute joke. And I'll go back to this fan base is unbelievably divided, and due to how long Wenger stayed, the Ozil business. I mean, players coming in. I mean, some of the absolute crap signings. So much has divided this fan base. I mean, it's honestly, for once next year, if things don't happen this summer, we don't see some changes. We don't see a little bit of ambition, which is very, very small chance we're going to get, because we're so used to not getting any ambition at all. Then we do have to come together next year. And
I don't think the fan base is split on the ownership. I'm sorry. I don't think there's an in or out Kroenke.
No, I'm not saying it's split on the ownership.
So I think we might be split on other things, managers and what have you.
Fan base isn't
not on the ownership, Ben.
No, it's not. It's not a split on the ownership. It's split over what's happened in the past with regards to Wenger staying for so long.
We've wasted too much energy. As Arsenal fans, we've wasted too much energy on the wrong things, I think, in terms of Wenger out and Emery out and Arteta out, or whatever it might be. Yes, those things are important, but ultimately...
But the main problem is above.
The main problem remained. And we haven't done enough. We haven't been vocal enough. We haven't been clever enough, really, to organise ourselves in a way to make it perfectly clear to the owners. And yes, it does take a lot to boycott games, doesn't it, if you've got a season ticket? Of course it does. But ultimately, if it means boycotting a season of being in the ground for the next 10 years of maybe having success, it's worth it, isn't it? Because, it's just one season. We've just lost one season of our life anyway. So losing another one ain't going to matter, is it now? I think next season, that's what we should do. To get the owners out, don't go to games. An empty stadium, they ain't going to be interested in that. They'll soon sell up if there's an empty stadium. No one's buying merchandise.
Look what Liverpool fans done 5-6 years ago. Look what they done. Yeah.
They're walking out of games halfway through, aren't they?
Changed.
Yeah.
It works. If you're together,
fans have a voice. Fans do have a voice. If you're together, it's got to be united together. That's the biggest issue.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's the way it is. Rich, I've got to shoot off, man. But
it's
been a pleasure.
No, thanks for coming on. It's been brilliant. Just quickly, when people find, I know people probably find you anyway. They know where you are, but just give yourself a shout out while you're here before you go.
Nah, cheers for having me on, man. Much appreciated. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at DanArsenal87, or if you want to follow me on podcasts, it's at Same Old AFC, Same Old Arsenal on Mondays and Fridays, and I'm sometimes on Guns and Yellow Ribbons as well. So both of those podcasts I usually feature regularly with. But Rich, it's been a pleasure. Ben, always a good chat, and Mel, top man. Thank you all very much.
Thanks for coming on.
Cheers, mate.
It's been brilliant.
You take care of yourself. Yeah, no worries. Anytime. Take care, boys. Laters.
Cheers, mate. See you later, mate. So that's Potsy there. Obviously, there's no way he's going to change his mind on how he feels. And to be fair, I think he put across some very good points there tonight. Really, has he maybe changed your mind a little bit, Ben? Are you still prepared to give Arteta a bit more time, despite all the other issues that's going on as well?
I'm not going to change my mind in an hour and a half, Rich. End of the day, I still feel we've got to see what happens in the summer. And then see where, if at the end of the day, if he starts next season with the likes of Bellerin and Xhaka and stuff like that, that's when you've got to have a good look at him. But I'm sure he don't want to face teams like Man City and that and get hammered and get turned over and things like that. He knows the golfing class. You're not going to close that overnight, but you need to progress to that. And if you're going to start with players like Xhaka, Bellerin, Willian. I mean, that's just naming some. And Lacazette, he needs to be moved on as well. I've not even mentioned him. And and we won't progress until these players are out of the club. It's just as simple as that. It's just it needs to happen. It needs to be a ruthless summer, and I'm prepared to give it that. That's for sure.
Okay. I mean, what yourself, Melvin? I know you were maybe on the fence a little bit before. Has anything that's been said tonight maybe swayed you one way or the other?
Nothing new that was said tonight, right? Let's get that straight. Nothing new, but Dan made some good points. Ben made some good points. But as I said to you before, when I was sitting down today making all the pros and cons, the pros I did in 5 minutes. The cons I could have been still writing now. And I thought I want to be level-headed. I really, because that was the idea, Ben, to sit on the fence, if you like. And I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't get there. I was thinking, I like him. I want him to be successful. I'm thinking of all the positives. I want that. I want that. He's good at this, good at that. But at the end of the day, when I'm thinking about the Martinelli situation, when I'm thinking about other players that he picks when he shouldn't, there's half a dozen players that, in my opinion, shouldn't wear the shirt. And if you're saying, no, you're not, but if someone's turning around and go, well, Xhaka, there's no one else. Once if Xhaka gets injured, do we play with 10 men? No, we get someone in to play in that position. So that argument, I don't understand that argument.
Yeah.
I think that to get rid of him, though, Ben, I think it would cost too much money.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we might get another manager in to say, you know what, I'll have to look at this team for a year, see what needs to be done. That's another year we go behind. But right, Richard just said, very important, if we do get another manager, he's got to be the right one. We can't go half measures. We've got to say, you know what, if we're going to spend £30 million on a centre half, let's not spend £30 million on a centre half. Let's spend £30 million on the manager that we want and worry about the centre half later on. And I think that's what we're using our money the wrong way again. Because a manager is much cheaper long term than a player. And you get far more sometimes out of the manager. You think if a manager can build you up as a club, what's that worth? All right, a forward might win you a cup or a league, which is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But a manager can make it all easier for the players and build something where we haven't got it. So, I don't. Do I want him to go? Oh my God! Do I want him? I want him to change. Put it that way. I want him to change because I think there's deficiencies there that I see. I honestly want him to turn around and whack the ball and say, right, I'm going to try this now.
The thing we want him to change the most is his team selections. I mean, I don't think tactically we're as bad as we were. I think he's got a little bit of a balance between the defence and the attack now. We're creating chances. I think he has got a style of play there, but he literally hasn't got the personnel to do it. And that's a massive thing. And that middle of the park is a massive area because, end of the day, for me, Partey's not fit. And Xhaka, Elneny, Ceballos is not the next level for me. So it's a massive area that needs strengthening. And Partey is the future because there's so much about him that we like, but he's just not. He's obviously not showing it yet. I just don't think he's fit. But yeah, I mean, it's for me the worst things that we keep talking about is team selections, and it's puzzling. A lot of it is puzzling. It's just I can't back him on that issue.
Ben, have you ever before an Arsenal game, have you ever picked the team and got it right? What Arteta's picked? Have you ever got 11 players right? I've never done it.
No, I haven't. Because
how can that be?
He keeps changing it, doesn't he?
But even if you change it, you think, well, he might put this one in at right back or whatever. It's never. All of a sudden, there's a joker in the pack. Why's he done that?
There is.
It was Chambers this week, wasn't it? It was Chambers playing.
Chambers, there we are. Yeah, Chambers.
Yeah.
The trouble is, there's not just one joker in the pack. There's plenty of them.
You're sitting there.
Yeah, and he keeps pulling them out as well. I mean, Lee says that Dan's made some very good points, but we've got to give Arteta this season the summer window. Let's see where we are come December, January. I mean, in principle, that's all very well, and I kind of can see that. But do we want to waste another 6 months? Are we in a position to be able to do that when we might have dropped behind 2 or 3 other clubs in the meantime? Can we take that risk? I think, personally for me, I think if we're not in Europe next season, if we don't win the Europa League and we finish outside the top 6 or 7 this season in the league, I think at the end of the season he should go because I think he's failed.
I agree, only if we got someone to take his place.
Well, of course we'll get someone to take his place. Someone will take the job on, won't
someone better to take his place, much better.
Yeah, but it's a risk, isn't it? You never know what manager's going to work, do you? A manager that might have had success elsewhere, as we found out with Unai Emery, came into Arsenal, it didn't work for whatever reason. Sometimes it happens, doesn't it? Not all managers are successful at every club they go at, because sometimes it just doesn't work for them. And it didn't work with Unai Emery, although he had a reasonably good CV when he came. You know, Arteta didn't have a CV at all as a manager, and that's probably not really working, and it hasn't worked. So, yes, I would. Obviously, we need to upgrade, and we want to get a manager who's got more experience. Maybe a manager who's managed at a top level, won some big trophies would be great. But there's no guarantee that even if we did that they're going to work, because it is a gamble. But I think it's a gamble that we have to take. Otherwise, we're never going to be able to improve. And I don't want to spend another year in this same situation that we've had for the last 2 years. I don't want to keep going through this, because we yes, I know I said it before. No club's got a right to have anything. You know, we haven't got a right to be higher than 10th in the league necessarily, but it's all about ambition of the club, isn't it, behind the scenes? And to me, appointing Arteta lacked ambition. I thought a manager with no experience, it might have worked out, you know, and he might well go on to be a great manager later on in his career, as might Frank Lampard. But
you know what I thought
risk
at the time, when we got Arteta, I was so relieved not to have Emery the way we were going.
Yeah,
it's wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong way to think about things.
Yeah.
But I was so upset the way things were going.
Yeah.
If just get rid of him, you know, have someone even as a stopgap, I would have accepted. But,
I agree. I would have basically almost taken anyone at that time. At the end of Emery's reign, I'd been calling for Emery to go quite a long time before he did, because you could clearly see he wasn't the right man. He wasn't working, and the longer he was there, the worse it was getting. So yeah, I would have pretty much taken anybody. But I think there were other options at that time. Now looking back, you know, Ancelotti obviously being the main one, because he signed at Everton at the same time, didn't he? So he was available.
right, yeah.
And
Ancelotti,
you know,
and Benitez.
Yeah. So there were more experienced, not necessarily better managers. We don't know if they would have been better, but more experienced managers who potentially could have been better that were available at that time. And we went, yeah. And I agree with you, Mel. I wasn't particularly bothered who we got at that stage. Just to get someone else in, because this guy just needs to go. And unfortunately, I don't want to feel like that about Arteta, because I do like him, but it's almost getting to that point where I'm almost feeling the same virtually every time I'm watching us play. Every game almost is. I'm feeling more strongly about that every single game that we're playing, because I'm not enjoying watching us play. We're not getting consistent results. We're making the same mistakes every time. We've said about team selection, substitutions, and it's not changing. You know, James got a point there. You know, the wrong manager is way more expensive long term and requires a strong ball to act decisively. Yeah. You talk about Chelsea. Yeah, I mean, we haven't had a strong ball to act decisively, have we? That's been the problem, and that's obviously one of the main reasons why we're in the situation that we're in. And it isn't. I'm not blaming Arteta for everything, because he isn't to blame for everything, but he is to blame for certain things, and those certain things he's to blame for. He isn't improving, and that's what worries me long term going forward. So I say, for me, if we're not in Europe next season, he's failed. If we haven't, you know,
I don't think we can be in Europe next season, Richard. Can you see us? How are we going to get into Europe next season? We ain't going to win Europa Cup, are we?
Well, we might do. We're still in it.
We might do. But I think the odds are against it.
Well, no, the odds are against it. But then, what were the odds like for us winning the FA Cup when we drew against Man City in the semi-final last season and we pulled it off? Yes, I know that's only 2 games. It's a bit different.
Number one, it's 2 games, and number 2, all those players were playing very, very well. Aubameyang was at the top of his form. Tierney was at the top of his form. No, he hasn't dropped a lot. He was playing terrific. The goalkeeper was playing out of his skin, right? The team was playing a lot better then than what they're playing now. So it's not like for like, in my opinion. Yeah, it was brilliantly doing it, but I get all right. I didn't think we were going to win the cup with those 2 teams we probably were going to play. Them were United, but when we got through the semi-final, anything could happen. But I just don't see it with this team now. You know, there was no big mistakes in the run-up to the cup. There was no big mistakes like we're getting now. We weren't giving teams goals, and that's what we're doing at the moment.
No, I agree with that, and I can't see how we can win the Europa League. But while we're still in it, there's always a chance, isn't there?
Oh yeah, I want us to win it, and hopefully we can.
Yeah. Cup competition.
If you're saying he's got to go if we don't win it, then in my opinion, he might as well start walking.
I just don't think the squad's good enough. I just don't think it is, unfortunately.
When's the squad going to be good enough, Ben? How long do you give this manager to get the squad that's his squad? When do you draw the line in the sand? This summer?
It's not. I'd like to see progress. I'd like to see more progress in the transfer window. We have seen it. We have seen it the last 2 windows. We have seen a little bit of progress on and off the pitch in the transfer window. There's no denying that. I mean, Partey and Gabriel is progress.
Definitely.
Getting shot of Ozil, Kolasinac, Mustafi, and Socrates. That is progress. That is
Definitely.
progress, and there's no denying that either. So we need to give. We have to give him the pre-season and the summer to see where we are from there. I really think so. I think it's irrelevant where we finish in the league this year. I can't even. I don't even look at the league data, to be honest. I'll take each game as it comes. I don't even. It's only when someone tells me, "Oh, you're such and such," or I hear it on social media, "You're 10th" or whatever. I care. I don't really bother where we finish this year. But what I do like to see is certain players not getting as much game time and other players getting in front of them. That's what I care about. And I'm not seeing that. And I do.
Exactly.
That's where I do slag Arteta. That's where I do slag Arteta.
No, but is that not then, though, Ben? Is that not more important than who we may or may not be able to afford to buy in the summer? Surely it's about his day-to-day game management of the team. And if he's picking the wrong players now and he's not playing the right players, what makes you think that he'll change next season just because we might buy 2 or 3 different players? He needs to prove that now, doesn't he? He needs to have been proving it over the last 18 months, and he hasn't.
End of the day, if we finish the season 10th, then I'm sure he will change it in the summer.
But while we finish last season,
if he doesn't, then he's got it wrong.
One of my bullish points on him was all the players he's got rid of, either on loan, sold, or whatever, or given away. We don't miss none of them, and all the players he's brought in, apart from Willian, has been an improvement on the squad. So that's one of the bullish points I picked out.
Yeah,
that's not good enough. We need more than that. I agree.
Why are we doing worse than Melvin? Why are we doing worse?
I don't know. Perhaps he's got a better squad, Richard, but he don't play the right players then.
Well, yeah, he's not.
It could be that, couldn't it? Seriously.
Yeah, no, it could be. But whose fault's that then? Whose fault's that?
We have had Partey's been injured. I mean, Martinelli's been injured. I mean, Gabriel's been injured. They have key players to this team, massive players to this team. You take Partey out and you've got to replace him with El Nini. You've got to take Gabriel and replace him with Holding. These are massive players. And Martinelli is saying you've got to take him out and Willian comes in instead of him.
Let's face it, he made a schoolboy. You say Partey's injured, Ben, but he made a schoolboy error in the Spurs game. He should never have played him. That was quite obvious. We'd have seen more of Partey this season if he hadn't gambled with him.
Yeah.
I suppose did he want to be a big? What did he want? Did he want to get the fans go? Look, we've beaten Spurs or whatever. I've got to play Partey. It wasn't that important, that game. It might be important to us. We never want to lose the Spurs. Don't get me wrong. But in the big picture, it wasn't that big, and it cost us, I reckon.
He got it wrong. Yeah, absolutely. He got it wrong. He got it wrong. He nearly got it wrong with Tierney the other week as well. He got Tierney back too soon, I thought. And he didn't have a very good game, but he ended up scoring, and it was a good goal. I mean, but he did look fit. I mean, he's I don't know what he's basically.
He's playing all these people that don't look fit, but he won't play Martinelli.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. For me, this is, and I think that tonight, maybe with a lot of the points that's been raised, has made it even more obvious to me that there's far too many questions about Arteta that haven't got an answer, that can't be answered, because we don't know the answers, and he's not displaying the answers on the pitch on a weekly basis, is he? He's not giving us the answers. There's far too many questions. There's far more questions, I think, that's come up in the 18 months Arteta's been in charge than he's answered. Winning the FA Cup was great. Let's not pretend otherwise. It was, but a comment was made earlier, wasn't it, about it papering over the cracks, and I think maybe it has done a little bit. And I just feel, while there's this many questions about your manager, we're not a team like Bournemouth, or we're not a team like Wigan, or a small club that can maybe think, oh well, let's just wait and see. Let's wait and see if it turns out all right. There's too many questions that haven't been answered. It's been going on now for long enough, I think, for us all to have realised that yes, Arteta's not the biggest issue. He's not the only problem, but he is a problem, and he has contributed to the fact that we've gone backwards very quickly in the time that he's been at the club, in the league. certainly. And yes, while we're still in the Europa League, I'm not saying anything should change now. We're still in the Europa League, so for me, we've still got a chance of winning it because we're still in it. And until that situation changes, until the point that we get knocked out of it, and mathematically we can still get in the top 6 as well. And until that changes as well, we shouldn't be making any changes now. But I think there's enough questions over Arteta that haven't been answered, that he hasn't managed to address on a regular basis, that unless he manages to turn this around between now and the end of the season in terms of getting us into Europe next season, then to me, those questions haven't been answered. And for me, he won't deserve the opportunity to get a transfer window and for the club to spend the money that he wants, because he hasn't earned that. He won't have earned that right. You know, I mean, James has said there that he's gambling with Saka, Tierney, and more. Exactly, he's gambling with them, but yet he's not playing Martinelli. And Saka is probably going to get injured very soon because he's played nearly every game. I know he rested him. Was it against Leicester, wasn't it? He rested him. But he's probably going to play every game, same as Tierney. I know Tierney had a spell out, didn't he? But yeah, I don't understand why he's literally playing Saka every single game. And Xhaka, to be fair, Xhaka plays every single game. He's not worried about him getting injured, is he? But yeah, he's not playing Martinelli. I don't know. There's too many questions. And unless he can turn it around and get those results now between now and the end of the season, unfortunately for me, and it will make me a little bit sad if that's the case, but I can't see how he can survive till next season if we finish lower than 8th and we haven't won the Europa League. I can't see how we can survive that, because we're Arsenal and we shouldn't settle for that as a club, I don't think.
I agree.
So,
as I said, West Ham 10 points above us, Richard. That's telling you something.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just West Ham are above us, is it? Yes, that's quite a big gap, but there's, Leicester are above us, Everton are above us, Aston Villa are above us. There's, even Liverpool, who can't even win at home, are still above us. So, that kind of.
This is all proving how thin our squad is, though, because basically, you're saying, we need to get 6. If we get a couple of injuries, we've had it, and we've proved we can't cope with injuries. Partey injured, Tierney injured, Suarez has got to go left back. That doesn't work.
No, I agree.
We've not got the squad good in. I can't see us getting any. I can't see us getting any better than 8th.
Well, I can't see it at this moment in time either. No, I can't.
And that's why I say I don't think the squad's good enough to win the Europa League. I think the squad's far better than us out there. That even on any given day, even over 2 legs and all that, I just don't think it's good enough. We're relying on all the big players to turn up and not getting any injuries for us to get the Europa League. I can't see it.
Shay's made a good point there. We look lost on set pieces, corners, even throws. We're very static, and even defending them, we're not great at either. And we've got a set piece coach. Yeah, we have. I don't know who brought the set piece coach in, but he kind of hasn't been doing a great job, has he? Really,
the set piece coach. That coach must be a 50-seater.
He's got a turning circle of a 50-seater.
It can't be a proper coach, can it? Seriously, we've never been worse.
Well, yeah, I honestly don't know. I don't know what's going on with that, but yeah, we did get a new set piece coach coming in, and since then, set pieces seem to have got worse. But anyway, I'm not quite sure what's. One
of the other points I want to raise here. What do you do? I mean, we need someone better. Arteta, to me, seems very isolated. He needs a better number 2 in there next to him.
But has he not picked his number 2 himself, though? That's what managers do, don't they? So that's his choice, isn't it? So he's picked him because he must like him. He must get on with him. So is that not Arteta's choice?
I just think that's another area that could be addressed.
I actually think, but you're saying that about a number 2. I actually think Arteta would be a great number 2 behind a more experienced manager. Maybe like we said before, maybe someone like a Benitez or something like that. But I think Arteta is probably a really good number 2. He was a good number 2 at Manchester City. He complemented Pep really well, didn't he? And maybe he's a little bit lost now out on his own out front. Maybe that's one of the issues. I don't know. I'm not quite sure what it is, but maybe he might benefit from this experience with us more than what we'll benefit from the experience that we've given him, perhaps. but we'll have to see, obviously, what happens as we go forward. James has said our squad is not thin. Arteta is not using it is the problem. I kind of agree with that. I do think we've got weaknesses in certain areas of the squad, midfield in particular. We haven't got no backup left back for a start off, so we're weak in certain areas. But I agree that Arteta isn't using the squad properly. And if we're going to win the Europa League, you're saying about injuries in that, Ben. I agree. If we're going to win the Europa League, he's going to maybe have to sacrifice a lot of the league games, rotate the squad, put some of the youngsters in for the league games and save the players for the Europa League. That's probably the only way we've got a chance. But then it's throwing all the eggs into one basket, which is what Unai Emery did, if you remember, and it backfired because we finished 5th when we should have come 4th, and then we lost the final. It's a gamble, isn't it? For me, we need to try and get in the top 6 and win the Europa League or progress as far as we can. And I know that's not easy with the squad we've got, but I don't see what choice Arteta's got. He can't rely on winning the Europa League. And Dave definitely out and out Gunners podcast, Kroenke will back him. Well, I mean, he'll back him to the sense that he knows he's a cheap option, I guess. We're not going to splash out millions and millions and millions this summer. We're not. The club's lost too much money. And that's the problem. And without European football, it's going to be even big. It's going to be an even bigger problem. So, you know, he might back him in terms of not sacking him, but he's not going to back him financially, I don't think. Not in this current circumstance. Certainly not without European football to give us some sort of extra income. I know fans will back him, but I think it's
you say about Arteta, Richard and Ben, about is he good enough? All the people that work with him or worked under him say he's a brilliant coach. Perhaps that's what he is. Yeah. Brilliant coach and not a manager.
That's why
he is still a coach, really, isn't he? He's still a coach. He's not a manager yet.
He's spread a bit thinner now. That's the thing.
Even though he is Arsenal manager and on paper, but he is still a coach that's learning to be a manager on the job. That's what he is.
But why have we done that though? Why have we taken that? You know, we're not some sort of little home for people to learn a job. We're a big club that should be, you know, we should be getting managers who can come in and improve us straight away and take us where we need to go. We can't say, well, okay, Arteta, you don't really know what you're doing, but that's fine. You can learn it as you go along with us. We're fine with that. You know, finish where you like. It doesn't matter. That's not Arsenal, is it? We're not a club that should be doing that. And yes, I feel a bit sorry for Arteta actually for that reason.
It's not his fault, is it?
It's not his fault, and I do feel sorry for him. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. James says, "Cheers, boys. You like Arteta? He's got to go." Thanks for watching, James. Thanks for your comments as well. Good to have you on board. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. And Dave again says, "Of course he'll back him. He has done for the last 2 years." Well, yeah, he has, but. And he says we've spent over 100 million in the last 2 seasons. Yeah, we have, although a lot of that's on instalments, isn't it, with Pepe? And we've also got rid of a few players, haven't we? So the wage bill has been reduced to enable us to counteract that maybe, which is going to happen again in the summer to a degree. But I'll be amazed if we go out and buy 4 top quality players, even if we sell loads. I just don't think we're going to make that much investment this summer. I just don't think we'll be able to, especially if we're not in Europe, even more so.
He needs to offload the ones that realistically we're going to get a little bit of money for. I mean, players like, well, we like to see players like Bellerin and that go, but there's a chance Bellerin could go and we could get 20 million for him. If that's the case, then happy days. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with Guendouzi. He's a player that I'd like to keep hold of him. I think he's
going. That's the statement. He's not staying anymore. That's it. End of.
But that's another one, isn't it? See, that's another situation with Guendouzi, isn't it? You can't tell me he's not better than what we've had in midfield in our squad.
Of course he is. I agree. Yeah, of course he is.
And Torreira as well. He sent him out on loan because he didn't fancy him for whatever reason. And it's not like we had better players to come in. And you know, we're weak on the ground in midfield. So he sends Maitland-Niles out on loan. You wouldn't even play him in midfield. And he's playing in midfield for West Brom. And I know West Brom are West Brom, but he's still in the Premier League, playing against the same teams. And he's playing in midfield for them. He could have been a great option as a midfielder for us. He sent Joe Willock out on loan. He's a midfield player. We're short on midfield numbers. He's got rid of Guendouzi and Torreira. And then we're wondering, well, we're a bit thin on the ground. What happened if Thomas Partey gets injured? Well, yeah, because we've sent out 4 midfield players on loan. That's why. And whose idea was that? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. There's too many things for me that I just don't make any sense. And I don't know. I'm starting to feel that he's got now 12 odd games, whatever it is, 14 games left to prove us wrong, maybe, and to say that he is worthy of staying on next season and the club investing in his transfers. But he's got to prove that between now and the end of the season with results, with cutting out the silly mistakes that he keeps making and getting us somewhere near where we need to be, which is in Europe next season, certainly, and higher up the league. And hopefully, you never know, I know we don't think it's possible, in the Europa League. Joe said there, can Maitland-Niles play in midfield? Well, I mean...
Who knows? Who knows?
He's playing in midfield for West Brom at the moment. I watched their game on Sunday against Newcastle, and he was one of their better players in midfield. And yes, it's West Brom and they were playing Newcastle, two teams struggling against relegation. But you can either play in midfield or you can't. You either know how to play there or you don't. And he clearly can play there. And is he better than El Neni? I don't know. Possibly. He probably would be.
I think he's got more about him than El Neni. He's got more about him. You know, he's available for manager. If Arsenal want to take a big gamble now, someone today has left their position, and we could get him. Piers Morgan. He's gone from GMTV today. He's resigned, didn't he? So in case, he might be the man.
No, he might. I'll tell you what, though, Piers Morgan, if you're watching, because I know you're an Arsenal fan, you're welcome on this channel anytime, because I'd love to interview you and see if you can shut up for 5 minutes. That'd be quite good. But you're welcome to come on. You're welcome to come on anytime.
He's not welcome.
Well, no, let him come on. It'd be quite funny. I'd like to speak to him. There's a few issues.
He can stay on AFTV.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, actually, you can go over there. But I know it's ironic what's happening there. They're saying he's left. I reckon he's been sacked personally. But anyway,
he did storm off, didn't he? Today, stormed off.
He did storm off. Yeah, I didn't actually see it because I'm not interested in.
I saw it not live. I saw it on. I think Twitter had it on.
I'd sack him.
Someone gave him a bit of his medicine back, and he had to not accept it. He didn't want to accept it. So
I'd sack him, and all for sticking on a Spurs shirt for a bit. I'd sack him just for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just that, really, is it? He's got a crime list that's quite long, so there's plenty of reasons to sack him, I think. Anyway, there you go. He's finally got his comeuppance, maybe, but no doubt he'll pop up somewhere else, won't he?
Oh, of course.
Someone will take him on, I'm sure, just for the controversy of it all, I suppose. And that tends to what makes money, is you've only got to watch a few Arsenal YouTube channels to see that. So, but anyway, I mean, I think we've kind of pretty much gone through everything. I mean, it's been a great discussion, actually. And it's been good to. I mean, Dan made some great points earlier about things that maybe sometimes you don't think of. Ben has as well, which has been great. And me and Melvin have just had to go along with everything and kind of listen and try to come to our own conclusions. But that's my feeling, that he's got till the end of the season to get the right results. And what about yourself, Melvin? Do you think that's about right, or would you want to wait a bit longer?
I think you're right. By the end of the season, I think if we're worse than what we are, most certainly, if the players aren't playing for him, they put down tools, which that might happen with nothing to play for, then I think we've just got to say, just didn't work. Thanks, but no thanks. Didn't work.
Yeah. And I know Ben obviously wants to give him certainly the summer and the first part of next season as well, which is fair enough.
I just think that's a fair crack of the whip. If he's got, I think he deserves that. And I just think jumping ship too early is just not the answer right now. And it's I don't think it's not going to be the answer anyway, because I don't think they're going to do it. They're not going to sack him. That's for sure. Whatever happens this season, they're not going to sack him. So.
Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens at the end of the season. I guess where we finish, what's happened between now and then, and I guess the club need to have a think, don't they, on what they want to do, where they want to take us, I suppose, and that's going to be what happens, I suppose. But yeah, I'm not expecting them to sack him unless there's some major issues between now and the end of the season. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I personally will only give him till that long and then take it from there, really. But we'll see. It's been good to discuss it anyway, because I think that I think we all know what the main problems are. I think we all know what the big issues are. But this is also an issue, and it is important because a good manager can make a big difference, even with a less than average group of players, maybe, as we've seen at other clubs. So But anyway, we'll see what happens at the end of the season, I guess, and between now and then. Well, thanks to you two for coming on, also to Potsy as well. Ben, where can people find you on social media and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, just at ClockendBen30 on Twitter. Rich.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for coming on. And Melvin, yourself, where can people find you on social media and stuff?
Social media, it's Melvin, the only way is Arsenal Marks, but I'm on this fantastic channel now called Over and Over and Over Again. If you've ever heard of it. So I'm on that. I'm on From Dull Square to Where, and I'm on Ryan's channel, Ryan, Mr. Arsenal 89. I'm on all three and really enjoying it. Really enjoyed it tonight. Got a few things off our chest, I think. And
yeah, we did. Definitely, yeah. And it's good to, I think it's good to do that sometimes as well, isn't it? Just to, you know, hear other people's opinions as well, because that's what's important as well, isn't it? Because not everybody looks at things the same way. People pick up certain things that maybe other people don't. So that's always useful as well. So yeah. I think that's good. And I've enjoyed that aspect of it as well. And, you know, I mean, I'm not in any rush to push Arteta out the door, but I do think the next 2-3 months are really important for him, for his future, and also the direction Arsenal are going to be able to move in next season as well, which is what is more important outwardly for me. It's where the club go and where we are as a club that matters more than any individual person, whether it's the manager or any player or anything like that. So anyway, stay tuned to the channel. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe on YouTube. If you haven't done so, please give it a like as well wherever you're watching it. And as well, I've got a show tomorrow night actually. It's the Olympiacos pre-match warm-up show. I've got Costas who's coming on. He's an Olympiacos fan who is from, I think they're called Gate 7 International Podcast. They do a lot of Greek football, Olympiacos based. He's coming on as well to have a chat about the game on Thursday. Look ahead to that, get a little bit more insight into what's going on over there with them, which is going to be a tough game. We know that. So that's coming up tomorrow. That's at 7:30. I think you're on that as well, aren't you, Melvin?
Yeah, I'm on that, yeah.
Tomorrow, and I think Andrew's coming on that as well. Then obviously on Thursday we'll be doing a watch along of the game. Probably go live about quarter to 8. It's 8 o'clock kickoff, isn't it? So just go over the team news and all that kind of stuff. And then I'll probably do a fan cam reaction afterwards as well. Not too long because it's going to be a late finish, so I don't want to be on another hour after the game at 10 o'clock finishing, but we'll see. And then of course after that we're looking ahead to the little matter of the North London Derby, of course, on Sunday. So I've got a pre-match show on Friday. Unfortunately, Melvin might not be available for that one, but I've got a Tottenham fan coming on, Mark. That's going to be good. He's been on before. He's a good guy, actually. So that's going to be good as well. So I think you're on that as well, aren't you, Ben, Friday?
Well, I hadn't got back to you, had I?
No.
the Tottenham thing was kind of...
No, he's a good lad, Mark. He's a good lad, Mark. Actually, he is good. So it'll be a good laugh there. And I'm gonna do my picture quiz as well, which I started last week. I'm gonna do an Arsenal Tottenham themed picture quiz as well, which is going to be good. So that'll probably go about 7 o'clock, I think, on Friday. So that could be good. And then of course I will be doing a preview video of that game as well, and then a watch along on Sunday as well. So there's loads and loads coming up. So please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of all the stuff that's going on, and so check out these guys as well, and of course Potsy as well on all the different stuff that he does. Same Old Arsenal in particular is a great channel, and Guns and Yellow Ribbons as well, which is another good channel as well. He does a lot of stuff on there, so make sure that you check all that out. I say make sure you subscribe to this channel as well and give it a like as well, because that helps. So thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for all you guys in the comments as well. There's loads of comments now. I couldn't get through them all. Joe, Shane, there was a few marks in there. Dave from the Out and Out Gunners podcast. James as well, with some good comments in. Lee as well. There's a few others as well. So yeah, thanks everyone for being in the comments. Thanks to all you guys for watching, supporting the channel. And in the meantime, of course, a big week for Arsenal, this, isn't it? What with Thursday and then the little North London derby, of course, on Sunday. So it's a big week for Arsenal. So let's hope that we can put in 2 good performances, and we'll be a lot happier maybe on Monday morning, but we'll see. But in the meantime, of course, as always, come on, you Gunners, come on, big week. Let's get 2 wins. Come on.